Uhuru. So, yeah, let's get this started. Second half of day 2. So I want to bring up Chair Jesse Neville of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement to go into the regional reports, the incredible regional reports, and what each region of USM has been up to. Uhuru.
Uhuru, welcome back. All right, so we want to talk about the regional structure. And first of all, I want to say that we went over time, although it was an extremely important discussion, as I'm sure everyone agrees that we had to have that discussion. And really important leadership from Chairman Amalia Shatella and Deputy Chair and Chairwoman Penny and everybody who participated in that. So we are going to have to table some of the reports, and you're probably wondering until when. Well, we do want to hold a Saturday mini conference that we would have online and by phone to go deeper into the revenue streams and material solidarity work of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. So we are going to plan to do that because we had to cut a number of those reports from the convention program today. So after the regional reports, we will hear from Chairwoman Penny on the Black Power Blueprint, and then we will also have the presentation on the Spear study, as well as No Pride in Genocide from Comrade Mad. So unfortunately, all of the other ones will be tabled. But I really appreciate everybody's work in preparing them, and they will be seen. So what we want to talk about now is the party's regional strategy that was laid out in Chairman Amalia Shatella's political report to the 7th Congress, published in the book form as Vanguard, Advanced Detachment of the African Revolution. And Chairman Amalia Shatella there's actually an entire chapter called The Regional Strategy, where the chairman broke down the brilliant strategy of the party in this period to consolidate its regional structure and to transform every region into a political and economic hub of African internationalist activity. So we want to salute the strategy of the chairman and salute the amazing work of the party's regional representatives who are leading the way in consolidating the political and economic hubs of every region within this country and also in Africa and in other places throughout the world. So also stated in Chairman's political report was the fact that the regional strategy gives leadership and definition to the work of solidarity, that the work of solidarity submits to the strategy of the party in any given region. USM did not have a regional structure until April of last year, if people remember. That was when we initiated the regional structure and had elections for our regional leaders. And I want to salute the incredible regional leaders of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. Before I do that, first I want to salute the party's regional representatives, starting with Kobina Bantu Shango of the Southern region. Uhuru to Kobina Bantu Shango. And I want to salute Nana Yaw Grant of the Northern region of the African People's Socialist Party. And I want to just salute all of the incredible work of the party, and Shapavu is the Midwest regional coordinator as well, so Uhuru. So I want to just say that the regional leaders of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement are incredible comrades who have taken on a lot of immense responsibility to build USM in their respective regions. And the first regional leader I want to salute is someone who is no longer organizing actively with the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, but I will explain why, and that is Comrade Marissa Martinez. Uhuru, if we can give a shout out to Marissa. Marissa was somebody who came into USM, took over the Western region, and did an amazing job leading that region. Absolutely amazing job. And Marissa is Mexican, and at the 7th Congress, she came, through the whole powerful experience of the Congress and Unión del Barrio and the deep unity and the question of the Mexican national identity. She came to embrace her Mexican identity and is now doing work with the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement in Seattle. And we just saw her in Seattle, actually. So shout out to Marissa for really doing incredible work during her time in USM. I want to salute the Northern Regional Coordinator, which is Comrade Hallie Murray. Uhuru, Hallie. And as Hallie laid out earlier, the Boston branch has just been a cadre-producing factory for USM and APSC, and Hallie's leadership has had a lot to do with that. So the work in Boston has been incredible, and we also have amazing comrades. Shout out to Ruby Gittleson, who is here as well from Philadelphia, representing Uhuru. Ruby's been playing a really important role in the Philly work, along with Secretary General Allison Haney and all of the great comrades, Annie, Jackie, Micah. Micah's here. Uhuru to Comrade Micah here from Philadelphia. There's Micah. And Hannah, Annie, Jackie, and many others who are doing great work in Philadelphia to build the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. We have New York. We have Gil in the room, Uhuru Comrade Gil. And we have Janet Capron here from New York. And it's really exciting, the work happening in that region. There's James White in Washington, D.C. So we got Valerie here from New York as well, Uhuru Comrade Valerie. I'm gotta stop naming names, I'm gonna miss people. But salute all of you who are here from the northern region, and salute Comrade Hallie, and it's a very, very key place to be and to build. I also want to salute Casey Mackey, the Midwest Regional Coordinator. Uhuru, Casey. Casey has done an amazing job building here in St. Louis, and also has been doing the regional work of going into Louisville, working with Comrade Virginia, who had to leave, unfortunately. So Virginia's not here anymore, but shout out to Comrade Virginia. And you know, I know that there are goals to expand the region and to go into Chicago and Kansas City and other places in the region. And I also want to salute Ann Hirsch, who does an amazing job as the Southern Regional Coordinator. Uhuru, Comrade Ann. And Ann really leads by example by focusing on the region while also never giving up on St. Pete and moving St. Pete forward and showing what every branch within the region can look like by really building St. Pete in a powerful way. So we have great regional coordinators, and I just wanted to say that, you know, we unite with the chairman that organization is key, and that at the end of the day, the weapon that the African working class has at their disposal to win this revolution is organization. And that is why we have taken seriously the goal to consolidate the regional structure of USM, because it is better to have less members but more of a regional structure and more branches than tons of members with no branches and no regional structure. Because you just have these people all over the place, accountable to no one, calling themselves a Uhuru Solidarity Movement, doing whatever the hell they want, and that's a disaster. That's a security risk even. But to have the regional structure, now everyone is tied to a committee. Everyone is accountable, everyone is organized, everyone's getting the political education that Deputy Chair talked about, and being brought into the process of building, and is guided by the goals of USM, which are determined by APSC, which are determined by the African People's Socialist Party. So the regions and the local branches which are accountable to the region is how democratic centralism functions within USM, which means it's how the dictatorship of the African working class is guaranteed through all of the work of USM. Because the decisions are made at the Congress, which is voted on by the entire membership of the party. Then the National Central Committee brings those decisions to the entire party. The party brings it to APSC. APSC brings it to National USM. National USM brings it to the region brings it to the branch. And wow, through that structure, the words of Chairman Amali Shatella have traveled from the 7th Congress down to a branch of USM in Boston. That's how it works. Uhuru. So I just want to close by saying we have made strides. We have 3 fully functioning branches, but we want to build 30 at least. We want to go way above and beyond that. 37 states. We have 150 cities. We should have 150 branches of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. We want to have 10 fully functioning branches by the next convention, and we are working on a branch building manual that will be able to arm all of our organizers. So the last thing I want to say is that, as was mentioned by Chairwoman Penny Hess, we want to build the regional committees and not just have members from different cities that have a place to call in every now and then and report, but the regional committee itself has to be built, has to have a structure, has to have division of labor, and we need to ultimately have statewide organization that has regular meetings to sum up the work, and then we need to have regional conventions prior to our national convention. So this is where we're going. We want to regionalize everything. Regionalize recruitment, regionalize fundraising. All of the regional coordinators have recently united with shouldering a higher level of responsibility for the pledge of $150,000 that Comrade Amanda spoke of. Now every regional leader is responsible to raise a portion of that pledge in an ongoing, systematic, accountable way. And the way we do that, first and foremost, is by leading with the politics, leading with the line, leading with African internationalism, leading with the confidence that white people can and will be won to unity with reparations to African people. So without any further ado, I would like to bring up the first regional coordinator, which is Comrade Ann Hirsch from the Southern Region. Uhuru.
reparations?
I just really want to appreciate this convention so far, and you know, that reparations is our work, and it's the only way we can step off the pedestal. You know, if we just say that we have solidarity, that doesn't cut it. We're still living on the pedestal. So this is amazing convention that's, you know, clarified that in a deeper and deeper way. So I am Ann Hirsch, and I want to salute first our leadership, Chairman Amalia Shatella, DC Ona, and the African People's Socialist Party for creating an organization in which white people can join humanity. Truly the only way for the planet, on the planet, to step off the pedestal of oppression that supports our white lives. I also want to salute Chairwoman Penny Hess, who leads the African People's Solidarity Committee, and Chair of USM nationally, Jesse Neville, as well as the other members of the NEC, the NSC of USM, Ali Aiello and Amanda Carlozzi, and you got to see what powerful comrades these are, how much they have consolidated the NSC and just leading us forward in such a strong and holding that space for all of us to step into. So the South region of USM, am I allowed to move this? You don't need to. Well, okay. You can hear me? Okay, I don't have to, okay. The South region of USM has special significance because Chairman was born in St. Pete, Florida. His initial organizing work with SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, was in the South region. He developed the Junta of Militant Organizations, JOMO, there, and then he went on to found, lead, and develop the African People's Socialist Party. It was in St. Petersburg and Gainesville that he led Black community resistance in the 1960s, and he eventually tore down the mural with the horrific, degrading depiction of Africans entertaining whites that hung in the City Hall in St. Petersburg. Because of ongoing resistance from the Black community led by the APSP, the city has been unable to, after multiple attempts, to put something in its place. That wall is still blank. And recently I called anonymously because we're going to have a true history tour, and I said, you know, are we allowed to come into City Hall? And they were like, oh yeah, you can come look at the mural. I didn't tell them we were coming to look at the blank wall. They will just get to experience that when we start bringing groups of people in there. Black power infuses the African community in St. Petersburg because of the chairman's leadership. This became obvious when in 1996 the community defended the Uhuru House and the party leadership as they were attacked during a public meeting with all the tear gas in the city. The community came out in force and pushed back the police, who had to retreat. Subsequently, with the acknowledgement from the U.S. federal government, the city of St. Petersburg was forced to recognize Chairman as the ambassador of the Black community and the Uhuru House as the embassy. Uhuru. As part of defining and organizing for economic development versus police containment, the chairman ran for mayor in 2000 and won all the black and mixed precincts in the city, making him the Black people's mayor. And most recently, the party put reparations on the electoral campaign map by running 2 candidates in 2017. Akile Anai, Director of Agitation and Propaganda for the African People's Socialist Party and a member of the National Central Committee, ran for City Council, and Jesse Neville, our own chair and member of APSC, ran for mayor. Their platform, Unity Through Reparations, proved to the world that it is the African People's Socialist Party who made reparations a household word and is the leader in defining what reparations mean and in raising reparations. No other organization on the planet has done that. Uhuru. All right, so in the South region, St. Petersburg is the home of the Black Power Blueprint institutions, Akwaaba Hall, Jico Commercial Kitchen, Black Power Radio, Burning Spear Publications, and the All Tyron Lewis Community Gym. In Huntsville, Alabama is the home of Zenzele Consignment, the revenue stream supporting the African People's Development and Empowerment Project. USM has organizing hubs in Gainesville, Florida, Asheville, North Carolina, Huntsville, Alabama, and a branch in St. Petersburg. Diane Tournay is the lead in Gainesville, Evan Garner in Asheville, Carrie Porter in Huntsville, and I'm the branch chair in St. Pete. And I'm sorry to say that our region sort of was dropping like flies for this convention. Diane had to have surgery, Evan hurt his foot, and Carrie and that contingent had to leave because Carrie Simon had asthma, had problems with asthma yesterday, and so they had to leave and take her back. So I would like anyone who's in the South region to stand up, though. So we've got Jackson, Janet's in 2 regions. We've got Paula, we've got Janice Kant, we've got Jesse Neville, we've got Amanda Carlozzi, and we've got Kyle Weiss. So give them a hand. So these other leading comrades really wanted to come and had meant to be here. We do have a video from one of them. Okay, so we're now going to talk a little bit about our organizing areas have done since the last convention. The USM South region began to have regional meetings after our last convention, as called for by the 7th Congress Political Report. Our region has met monthly to study Overturning the Culture of Violence, a book written by Chairwoman Penny Hess at the behest of the African People's Socialist Party. In these meetings, we also report on the work of the organizing areas and receive direction about the regional strategy of USM in the current period. USM, so next slide. Okay, so there you can see Diane, Evan, Carrie, and me. And you can see the list of, I would just want to say that we have a lot of active organizers in our branch. Johan Benningfield is our social media coordinator. Jamie Simpson, as you heard, is the host of Reparations in Action and the web show. Jackson Hollingsworth does a lot of work on the AV and oh man, sorry, I'm having trouble speaking off the cuff here, is the project director for the tours. Jason Tiedelman is a new member. Tama Gadini has been a member for quite a while, and although she's been sick, is still active as much as she can be. And of course, we are the home of our chair, Jesse Neville. This is his home branch. So USM in St. Petersburg, so the next slide, we really do want to build the regions and build the regional structure to capacity. So we're looking for a treasurer, a membership coordinator, an info ed and an outreach coordinator, and a reparations challenge coordinator for the South region. So if there's anybody who wants to do that, please get in touch with me before you leave. So in St. Petersburg, USM organizing work has been going on for many, many years. We formed a branch this past year after the USM National Convention. St. Pete, Florida is the home branch. Well, I already said that. Okay, I just went over that. The St. Pete branch distinguished itself this past year by consistently tabling 1 and increasingly 2 times a week, often raising $100 or more per table. We held 11 events this past year, including 3 of the national tours, the Reparations Tour, Days of Reparations to African People, and All Diamonds Are Blood Diamonds, as well as local events. We can have the next slide. Yep, that's a lot of the people in the branch. And the next slide. Good, that's our tabling. You can see all the various places we went. And the next slide. All right, these are our events. So our local events were No Pride in Genocide, Colonialism is Killing the Environment, an International Revolutionary Film Festival, which we co-hosted with APSC in St. Pete, The Truth About Thanksgiving, and Victory to Palestine. And our local forces also created reparations challenges, 2 different events, a Star Wars and a Harry Potter trivia night. We are located in the home of the African People's Socialist Party, so we also participate in and support the campaigns of Impedum and Black Power Radio. These included taking back MLK Day, a tremendous victory where in 3 short weeks, the APSP led the Black community in taking back the MLK celebration that had been stolen from the community by the city. Other events were July 4th African Nation Family Reunion, Black People's Action for Yasmina James, Hands Off Aquile, Hands Off Venezuela, Self-Determination for the African Community, and we also participate in Black Power Sunday rallies every Sunday. Going forward, we will fill out the positions of our LEC. So we are looking for a treasurer to replace Amanda. She has a lot to do, and we want someone to free her up. We also need a membership, info ed, outreach, and event coordinators. And we're going to also continue reaching out into the 3 college campuses in our city, and there's actually college campuses on 2 cities, one to the north and one to the south, so we have a lot of opportunity to get out there. All right, so the next slide is, yeah, you can go on to the next one. And then, oh, sorry, back, all right, you were. Okay, let me see where I am. So Diane Tournay is the lead organizer in Gainesville. I want to salute Diane. I'm sure she's watching at home. Uhuru, Diane. And this comrade has been organizing, first of all, the Black Power has a history in Gainesville. In the 1960s, the chairman led organization there that had a Black Power bookstore. And one of the organizations that merged to create the African People's Socialist Party was the Gainesville Black Study Group. So Diane has been organizing in USM for 7 years. And I want to salute this comrade because this is a university town. And so people come and go. And she stands firm as an organizer of USM, you know, through the many contradictions that come up because of that. But she has been there and organizing. This past year, they held USM Gainesville meetings twice a month. They held 8 events. You can see them there. The Reparations Tour, the Days of Reparations to African People, the All Diamonds Are Blood Diamonds Tour, as well as 4 local events. The Azania, the People, the Land, the Revolution. They did an international film festival. They did a screening for Lumumba, which Diane pulled together in 3 days and won a member at that meeting. And so that was very powerful. And they also reached out to have a viewing party for A Stone for Dominique, which was a party led by, a campaign led by the party. So on the next slide, going forward, they will be reaching into Gainesville and University of Florida and Santa Fe Community College campuses, and these are the positions that they need. And okay. Thank you. The next one is Evan Garner. And so you can see Evan. This is Evan here. And this is Reese, a new member there, who's organizing. And if we go to the next slide, we can click on Evan, and his video will speak for itself.
Evan Garner, I'm a member of USM, and I want to salute, as always, our leadership, Chairman Omali Yeshitela of the African People's Socialist Party, and Deputy Chair Ona Yeshitela, and the African People's Socialist Party, and IPEDM, and the African working class for the building you're sitting in today. I wish I could be there. My first convention was really powerful and inspiring, and I'll never forget it. But due to contradictions in life, you know, I had to stay back this time. So anyway, we make this video. I'm in Asheville, North Carolina, Western North Carolina, Appalachia, and Asheville is a central hub and also a haven and like a hive, especially for white liberals, wealthy white liberals, and celebrities, politicians, you name it. If you know, if they have a bank account, they'd probably roll through here. I guarantee it. And that's why it's so important to keep doing the work of USM here. Why we're going to build a branch of USM here. Since the last convention, we've continued to hold weekly meetings, which will switch from Mondays to Sundays here soon at Firestorm Books and Coffee, Firestorm Cafe. It's a bookstore and coffee shop. And did a D-Rep viewing party for the Days of Reparations, largest reparations challenge that USM holds every year, as well as a viewing party for the 50th anniversary of the Burning Spear with Amalia Shatella and Chairman Amalia Shatella. And it's an honor and a privilege to be able to do this work and to continue this work. So as we proceed and as we continue, the goal is to build a USM branch in Asheville for all of those reasons. And because in the Southeast, especially in this trajectory in Appalachia, it's so important because we can reach so many white people, and it's our job to go into the white community as members of USM, and hopefully you guys, like I said, will become members and carry out this work too. And not that it's easy, but it's worth doing. Otherwise I wouldn't be here, I can assure you that, or making a video. Self-critical, I'm checking my notes. Yeah, so we will build a USM branch in Asheville. That is our goal. And it's to recruit members to fill the local LSC positions, from a chair, treasurer, secretary, treasurer, someone for info ed, and someone for outreach and recruitment. That's the goal, and I will be there or be here until I've reached that goal. So, Uhuru, keep moving forward. And unity through reparations.
Uhuru. So, yeah. I just also want to really give a shout out to Evan, who stayed there through thick and thin, and it just keeps on doing what he can to organize there. And I just want to, say to Huntsville and Gainesville and Asheville that we are coming there, and we are going to do a little tour of the South region in July. So you've got reinforcements and training coming. So. And then Carrie Porter has been organizing, Solidarity in Huntsville for 3 years. The bulk of that work has been organizing 3 days of reparations to African people, teaching yoga for reparations, and supporting the campaign for the African People's Development and Empowerment Project at Zenzele Consignment. The revenue stream for APDEP that is led by Dr. Aisha Fields, who is the on the National Central Committee of the APSP. Also in Huntsville is the African People's Socialist Party Regional Hub, headed by Kobina Bantu Shango. And this year, shall I finish these last 3 sentences? Okay. This year, Carrie joined the South Region Committee, and she is the secretary, so I really salute her. And she has taken on pushing USM forward, but we are looking for someone who can take on that chair role full-time and all the other positions in the LEC. So, all right, and then so we raised approximately $4,500. So one of the things that preparing these reports. Revealed was, you know, for the past year, we've been raising what we needed to, but haven't been keeping a log of that. So now I know I've got a report already, so when we leave this convention, I'll just keep putting it in. I know what I need to have for next year. Currently in the South, we have 100 members, 59 new members since the last convention. A total of 18 events were held, and we sold 406 spears. So, Uhuru. So our goals moving forward are build the South Region Committee, open a Solidarity Center in St. Petersburg, build branches in Asheville, Gainesville, and Huntsville. New organizing areas that we're looking for are Orlando, Miami, Atlanta, New Orleans, Houston, Texas. I want to add Dallas because we have somebody here in our region from Dallas, and Phoenix, Arizona, New Orleans. So we're going to raise $21,250 at minimum. We're going to recruit 47 new members, and I set a goal for us to do 900 spears, to more than double our spears, because we know if we're out there doing that much outreach and selling the spear, we're going to reach all those other goals. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Give it up for Ann Hirsch in the Southern region. All right. Trying to remember the order. Does it say? Okay, and now I bring to you Hallie Murray representing the Northern region of USM. Uhuru.
This is nice. Can I move this up? Uhuru. So, yeah, my name's Hallie Murray. I'm the North Regional Coordinator of USM, and I just want to salute this entire convention, our leadership, Chairman Amalia Chatella, Deputy Chair Ona, and the party's regional strategy, which really was consolidated in the new political report to the 7th Congress. Like, it's laid out there, and since that was written, you know, I've seen it getting into place in both APSC and USM. So I'm truly honored to lead this regional work and to be here presenting this report to the national membership and our leadership. And also want to salute Chairwoman Penny Hess, who struggled for so many decades to be where we are today, and my direct leadership, Chair Jesse Neville, as well as the other regional coordinators. Like, let's give it up for Ann's South Regional Report. I mean, that's incredible. All those comrades there. So, whoops. Yeah, just going into like what the North region, like where are we at? So this is the northeast of Turtle Island, you know, of this, it's the imperialist hub of the white colonial nation. We have the capital city in Washington, D.C., which is swarming with military state institutions. In New York City, it's the center of capitalism in which Wall Street is resting upon a mass grave of thousands of enslaved Africans who were worked to death. And, you know, here in Boston, it's the mecca of this bourgeois learning institute, like Harvard, you know, MIT, these like totally bourgeois educational schools that pump out white nationalist propaganda. And the Atlantic coast in general was the first entry point of the slave trade, which brought ships of stolen African people to this land. So all along the coast are these burial grounds. Like, we don't even know them all, but they're there, and this is the region in which we're organizing in USM. So, So, you know, it's a very critical region in which we're organizing the solidarity movement and building an army of white solidarity with black power, bringing the message of African internationalism deep into the suburbs, deep into the white communities, these little towns, you know, that's where we want to be. And so, but I just wanted to, so that's, you know, the imperial system that has existed, but moving forward, the African People's Socialist Party has had a presence on the ground in the Northeast region for decades, really for decades. In New York City, in 1982, the party held the first World Tribunal on reparations, which really set the terms. You know, the chairman had made reparations a household word, and that was one of the first places where it really got out there. In Philadelphia in 1985, the U.S. government dropped a bomb on the MOVE organization, which devastated the Black community. And after that, chairman and the party called on reinforcements from the Uhuru movement to go there. And I know, Diane Tournay from Gainesville was one at that, as a white person to witness that, and so many others. And they're still in the movement today. And Impedum has been on the ground since then in Philly and New York, organizing these campaigns to defend the African community against police terror and violence. Decades before Black Lives Matter ever existed, this hashtag thing, the party was organizing for Black power in Philly. Hands down, they've always been there. And as far as the institutions in the region, the party's main institution in the Northeast, of course, is the Uhuru Furniture Store and Collectibles. It's incredible. You have to go there and see it. They have this whole volunteer campaign. They have, operations. It's a two-story building. It's incredible. And I want to salute Deputy Chair Ona Zanea-Chatella for really founding that and really getting off the ground the fact that the political and the economic are one. Like, it's not just selling furniture. Like, it's creating this whole economic development strategy for the Black community. And the relationship between USM and these institutions is growing more and more now that we have this regional structure in place. I really want to salute Secretary General Allison Haney, who couldn't be here today, but she is the Secretary General of APSC, and she's in Philly. So she's been incredible in providing leadership to me as the regional coordinator, but also the local branch. I mean, I think that's why the Philly branch is just so on it, because they have this direct leadership right there in the institution. And she's... Philly also has the Uhuru flea markets and the Health Fest coming up Saturday, April 27th. I'm going to be there. You should be there. You should come. And another institution in the Northeast is Planet Uhuru Revolutionary Apparel, based in Boston, which is where I live. You can check out our booth back there. And this is Revolutionary Clothing Line. It's an institution of Black Star Industries, and there's a lot of plans for that. And I know Jesse Neville has said this before, the contradictions in the region are that the previous we had a coordinator chairing the Philly and New York branch, and they were removed from that position, the same person who was overseeing membership, for various contradictions. But, and it was looking a bit shaky, like, how do we move forward with these branches? We don't want people to feel demoralized. So Secretary General Ali instructed the USM chair go into Philly to hold a conference, like, just send in the chair, just deploy him there, like, mobilize everyone, have this amazing conference, which we did have, and I'll report on that. And just, do these trainings to get everyone locally there just, like, armed with what to do moving forward. And just, it's been incredible. Like, so much has happened. And, so I want to salute all the North folks who are here. If you're from the Northeast region, can you stand up so we can salute you? We got Micah here from Philly, Gil from New York, Ruby from Philly, Valerie, Janet, Ali, Mara, and shout out to Amanda, who recently moved. I'm going to say more in a sec. We also have, I realize there's not names on these. Yeah, all of you. In New York, we talk about them as branches, but it's not technically, because we're still looking for a chair for those areas. And we have members in DC, in New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Maine, Pennsylvania, New York, and Vermont. And here are next slide. Yeah, so here's this little chart. There's so many people on committees, I had to make a graph, just like, who are they? As far as our regional committee, I really want to shout out to James White, who is our regional secretary. He unfortunately could not be here this weekend, but he really jumped into this role. It was his first role ever on a committee just 2 months ago, and he's really shaped, so much. And also shout out to Sam Day, who's our regional info ed coordinator. And these comrades, excellent. So in Boston, I'm the local chair. Ali Aiello is our treasurer and also interim secretary. Mara is over membership, and Sam Day is info ed. In New York, I'm the chair. Gil is over membership and outreach. He really saw that outreach was part of that job and just stepped right in, just like, all right, I'll do that. So I really salute you, Gil. Declan is our treasurer, and Carbon is the secretary in New York. In Philly, I'm, again, the interim chair. Really shout out to Micah, who is the secretary. Hannah is over outreach and membership. leadership. Jackie is over info ed. Annie Sarchan is treasurer, and the active members are, of course, Ruby and Allie, who come to every meeting and really guide those forces there. And other forces in the region, James White is in DC, Tommy Socorellis is in New Hampshire, in Nashua, and Sam Day has moved to Providence, but she still participates on our Boston meetings by calling in. So I encourage that to just be the norm for your local meeting. Like, just have a call-in number so people in other suburbs who don't have a car or they're sick or whatever, they can still participate. So next slide. So a bit about the branches. Boston, which is where I'm from, we're the longest consolidated branch in the region since 2016. And as Jesse pointed out, we are a cadre factory. And I just want to salute some of the previous Boston members who have been deployed elsewhere, starting with Renee Nassar, who relocated to St. Petersburg, who is now in the office of APSC. Shout out to Renee. Casey Mackey was instrumental in consolidating the Boston branch, and of course she relocated here to St. Louis. And our most recent deployed comrade was Amanda Carlozzi, who was in our chapter as the local treasurer, and she became the national treasurer and was deployed to St. Petersburg, which is where the national office is. And since then, that was just not even 2 months ago, we've seen so much. I mean, you just saw her report. It was just truly incredible, and that's a lot because of the consolidation of the national office, that those members there can just meet on a daily basis. And in Boston, we meet every week, and we do monthly events, film nights, and we've had 3 days of reparations. So next slide. The Philadelphia branch, shout out to Philly. This branch is on fire, and they're not even like a branch yet. They've just rapidly been consolidated since the last days of reparations, which was the first days of reparations. And I really want to salute all those new comrades who jumped in to the work, and just recently, new member Jackie organized a gaming for reparations. I just like drop a seed. I'm like, you guys should have an event. And they're like, okay, POA done. All right, subcommittee outreach. Like, they're just really on it, and I really salute them. In January, they had a meeting that had 24 people come out to it, and I really think it's from the power of having these new white people come in and seeing the institutions right there and meeting with Ruby and Allie, and just like the party, they can touch it, and then they're just like, yep, I'm an African internationalist, I'm gonna do an event. Annie is coordinating an anti-colonial walking tour coming up, so I just really salute the Philly comrades. Next, we have our New York branch they held a viewing party to watch the first day of the convention the other day, so shout out to Carbon and Declan, they were tuning in. New York branch is meeting bi-weekly, and the main work right now is to which I salute Gil for taking lead on that, is just finding, a venue space to meet on a weekly basis, which sounds simple, but that's, the main struggle is just being out there in the world on a regular basis. This flyer is from the No Surrender dance party that happened last year. They held an All Diamonds Are Blood Diamonds tour and Days of Reparations tour, and in the last few months, all the new people, Carbon, Declan, and Gil have all been trained on their roles, so we're really in this new phase right now. And this event raised over $1,000. That dance party where Casey was DJing at, it was really fun. Next slide. So Washington, D.C., this is our newest area that we're building in. I want to shout out James White, who's there. He's really committed to building a branch in D.C. Last month, he coordinated his first outreach table by himself, and this won a new contact, Jubilee. And now both of them are going to table again next week. So it's, it's very rapid. And this photo is from the North Regional Action that happened, which I'm going to talk about next. So next slide. This was so fun. I got to travel through the region for this, so we, on Saturday, March 23rd, we held a day of action in D.C. at the No to NATO rally, where President Yejide Ormila spoke at. We had 6 members from across the region, from Boston, Philly, and D.C. We gave out 1,000 club cards for this convention. That was our goal. It was really incredible. We sold 25 spears, got 19 contacts. Next slide. Just some more photos from that. We had the huge, that's where we got the banner to be at this rally, and then we, would have it for the convention. We marched around the White House, huge banner saying "Make America Pay Reparations" in front of the White House, and we raised $130 in reparations that day. Next slide. And then the next day, some of us, we got in a car and drove to Philly and had this North Regional Conference. It was a 4-hour conference that Jesse and I and Allie had coordinated what the program would be. We had 11 participants participants from across the region, and it was a study on African internationalism, democratic centralism, job descriptions of the branch, how to make a plan of action, how to chair a committee. And Jesse and I were summing up, we really want to do that to every area, every region needs to have these trainings, because it really deepened everyone's unity there. There was a lot of really great discussion. And some resolutions that came out of that was that Hannah united to coordinate the Philly Days of Reparations, and Annie to coordinate the Philly Anti-Colonial Walking Tour next month. So next, yeah. Shout out, I hope they're all watching, you know, we really miss you here. So next slide, open meetings. Boston's are every Monday, weekly. Philly's are every Thursday at Good Karma Cafe. And I said before, New York it's every 2 weeks, but that's the first goal right now, is just regular meetings. And okay, the next few slides is a little poem I made about outreach, so get ready. Okay, outreach on the beach, outreach in the snow, posters on the poster wall, door to door we go. Meeting all our neighbors at a fundraiser yard sale. Security is in the people, and Africa will prevail. Uhuru. Wait, it's not over, it's not over. They tear down our posters, we put them back up. We call the people, damn it, we never give up. Uhuru, that's my poem. Take it, do what you want with it. That's Annie here. This was phone banking in Boston. That was really fun. Yeah, so there's so much outreach. I'm just like, I'm gonna make a poem. Anyway, next slide, special events. We had Sam Day hosted an anti-colonial tea party. She's been a barista forever and knows a lot about tea. So she did this incredible workshop, and then we had a bunch of tea set up. We do monthly film nights in Boston, so that's a flyer. And then we also we held an event, White Jewish Solidarity with African, Palestinian, and Indigenous Liberation. And I know some other areas have done that. I highly encourage every city to do that. We held a No Pride in Genocide event in Boston last year, which won 6 members. That was really, an excellent topic and presentation. Next slide. Other events, the No Surrender event. This is a photo of Declan. He was DJing too, and that's from the hallway. It was in this artist warehouse in New York, very, it was really fun. Next slide. Other events we've done. This is a house event. We had a holiday card making, thrift shop, and potluck for reparations, and that was, I turned my bedroom into a craft zone, and the other room was secondhand clothes and Planet Uhuru stuff. It was very cozy, there was potluck, and so that's just, and we've also had viewing parties for the Burning Spear 50th anniversary was another thing we did. So the next part is supporting party campaigns that have happened in the Northeast. This is, we've tabled multiple times at the Uhuru flea markets, which are every month throughout the summer, and then in the spring there's the Health Fest, and in the fall it's the book fair. We've been a lot at all of those, and also a goal to build Planet Uhuru. You're going to see a lot of changes. PlanetUhuru.com, check it out. It's an institution of Black Star Industries that I coordinate, so I want to invest in a car and be able to travel a lot more and table and bring this institution and just build the volunteer campaign for that, etc. So next slide. Other campaigns we've supported, the African National Women's Organization last summer held a vigil for Nia Wilson, this young African woman who was murdered by the state. And this is in Washington, D.C. Comrade James White is second from the left there, participated in this. And he gave a really powerful speech on why white people need to get active in reparations and take a principled stance against colonial violence on the Black community. Next slide. There was the APSC North Regional Conference, which seems ages ago, but it was last summer, and that was open to USM members to participate in, and it was actually combined with the South region, where we had video conferencing. This was in my room here where me, Mara, and Amanda and others were participating in. Okay, so how am I doing on time? Okay, time's up. Well, all right, next slide. I'll be quick. So the tours, yeah, we've talked about the tours before. We're going to have tours for all diamonds of, No Pride in Genocide will be happening in Boston. Days of Reparations will be in 4 cities. Boston, New York, Philly, and DC is our goal. Next slide. These are some photos from the Boston Days of Reparations events. And then these are from the Philly and New York All Diamonds or Blood Diamonds events. It was really exciting. I got to go to all 3 of those, and it really helped to consolidate the region. So I encourage other regional coordinators, go to the events in your region, like go help them out, be there, participate. It really changed my mind about how to think about the region. So results, okay, ending up. Results since 2018 convention, we recruited 54 members in the last year. We raised at least $5,000, had 26 events. In 2019, sold 75 spears. And again, I want to repeat what Ann was saying about, this is our first. We're learning a lot through this reporting process as a regional coordinator, so I've already started my report for next year, so I'm self-critical that we don't have all the numbers, but I've already figured out how to track it for next year. So next slide. Moving forward, we want to consolidate, get a chair for New York and Philly and DC. We want to build in Providence and New Hampshire, travel to all areas to outreach around, around the region, raised over $21,000 in reparations, recruit 50 members in 2019, build the regional committee to capacity, build solidarity centers in all our areas, and of course, support party campaigns like the Black is Back March on Washington. And then the next slide, how are we going to do all that? Well, we are going to how are we going to raise that 21 grand and have 50 members? Well, this is how. We always have a strategy. In June, we're having these No Pride and Genocide events. July, it's the March for Reparations. I'm coordinating an Art for Reparations auction on new members to participate in that, building the webinars and live streams, and tabling outreach and local events, just like the everyday work. Being on the ground is how we're going to do that. So next slide. Yeah, that is my North Regional report. Uhuru, thank you.
Uhuru. All right, let's give it up for Hallie Murray and the Northern Region. Now we're going to hear last but not least, as far as regional coordinators from KC, before we go into local reports from Seattle, Portland, and Oakland, the 3 active cities in the Western region. So now, please give a round of applause for our Midwest Regional Coordinator, Casey Mackey. Uhuru.
Uhuru. I'm really excited to present on the USM Midwest region, the center of which we're in right now. St. Louis is clearly a very important front of the revolution. It's why it's where our convention is being held. It's famous for its rich history of African culture. At the same time, it's infamous for the Del Mar Divide, one of the most stark examples of colonialism within U.S. borders. And the disparities between the white and African communities in 2 realities couldn't be more obvious, and that's a result of years and years of white power repression of a city that's also known for African resistance. So when young Mike Brown was murdered by Darren Wilson and left to bleed out in the sun for 4 hours in 2004, there was an incredible uprising led by the African working class in Ferguson and St. Louis. And the Burning Spear newspaper writes, quote, "The rebellions in Ferguson represent the resurrection of mass African resistance against colonial tyranny at the hands of the U.S. government." So when Chairman Omali Yeshitela learned of this rebellion, immediately came to Ferguson and built organization, spoke, used the party's science, had clipboards, held a meeting. That's where he met President Columbai Andanette, who opposed opportunism and assumed leadership of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, or IMPEDUM. And then in 2017, Deputy Chair Onezene Yeshitela read the call from the chairman's political report to the 2017 plenary to the party, saying that Africans needed to buy up property and build, institutions of that were collectively owned and were hubs of economic and political development, and that would be a way to resist gentrification, because there's been a trend of, in the 60s, white people left the cities and built suburbs because we feared the Black Power revolution, and now we're coming back into the cities, and it's gentrification and is displacing African people. So Deputy Chair read that. If you look at her copy of the political report, it's highlighted and notes and crumpled, because she read it and made it reality with the Black Power blueprint. So Deputy Chair, as most people know, was only supposed to be here for a week and then stayed for over a year. And in the thick of the construction and the sweltering heat and bitter cold, meeting contractors in the community, leading this incredible process, and now we see this beautiful Uhuru house as the beginning of the Black Power blueprint. And T'Charwa Masimba and Nzeyi assumed enormous responsibility under Deputy Chair's leadership to forward the Black Power blueprint. T'Charwa quitting his colonial job and working full-time as a member of the African People's Education and Defense Fund as the Economic Development Coordinator and the Into You Volunteer Brigade Coordinator, and now Nzeyi as the Project Director for the Black Power Blueprint Steering Committee, who keeps us all in the committee on our toes for the meetings. And now this Akwaaba Hall has become the central place for President Columbai to build, and Fofi to build Impedum and the Keep 28 Wards campaign, as the city government is attempting to, next slide. I just wanted to show a picture of when the chairman came to Ferguson, and you see the party, holding up the red, black, and green. So now the city government is attempting to cut the wards from 28 to 14, which would dilute the black wards and their voting power and ability to run candidates for office on a platform that speaks to their interests. And as we all got to hear a little bit yesterday, the Keep 28 campaign recently accomplished one of its major goals, which was to win Africans to run for office on a platform of Black Power. And Jesse Todd of the 18th Ward ran for alderman, was backed by the Uhuru movement, recognized the party as the vanguard, and won. So Uhuru to Jesse Todd and Impedum for that amazing victory. And I also want to say that Kitty Riley of the African People's Solidarity Committee was also deployed here to work on the projects under Deputy Chair's leadership, engaged in serious fundraising work and other really important tasks. I would hear her in meetings where she was, working, struggling with the city to get permits for the flagpole, and just so many, the work is really beyond me. It is very, very difficult to get what has all happened and what's going to happen done with this repressive city always on the backs of this project trying to stop it, but with Kitty always fighting and pushing it forward. So just really, really appreciate Kitty Riley. And and also really fighting for the APSC unit, which I'm now the chair of, and making sure that the struggles are taken on so that we're just building the in the best way possible and really representing the party through our work in the Solidarity movement. And then at the end of 2017, the party called on me to move here to build the Uhuru Solidarity movement, and now we have an incredible branch, and we're continuing to build. And I just want to make very clear that the USM branch here has been made possible because of the Ferguson Rebellion, because of the African People's Socialist Party, building the Black Power Blueprint, building Impedum, based on its track record, 45-year track record of building concrete institutions of African self-determination. And white people are so open here. We want to do something real, beyond protests, to stand in solidarity with the Black community. And in St. Louis and the Midwest, the Black Power Blueprint and the Keep 28 campaign gives us the capacity to do that. A growing number of white people support reparations, and USM allows us to do that. And in his new book, Vanguard, which you can purchase a copy over there, the chairman writes, quote, "Although hundreds of different personalities and organizations descended on Ferguson following the uprising of the militant young working class Africans, the African People's Socialist Party is the only organization remaining from the lot. The TV cameras, money, and ruling class media are now gone, along with most of the personalities and organizations. However, colonial oppression still defines the lives of the African working class. Now we are there in St. Louis, the advanced detachment of the colonized African nation, the African People's Socialist Party. The Black Power Blueprint represents a major advancement that has implications for the development of the African anti-colonial struggle all around the world. We have remained in St. Louis, and we have organized a presence and movement among the working class of this community whose heroic resistance has re-energized African anti-colonial consciousness in a way not seen since the 1960s. Uhuru to that." I just want to express what an honor it is to be able to participate in this movement as a white person, and how the party has laid out such a clear and principled role for us. And now this is what the Midwest looks like now for solidarity. So next slide. So I am the chair of the St. Louis branch. We have Cece as our secretary, although she has united that we need to find a new secretary because her work schedule has made it impossible for her to now attend our meetings, and that is, you need to be able to attend the meetings to be secretary of a committee. So we are looking for a new secretary. I want to bring on stage our treasurer, Connor McGuire, Uhuru, who actually teaches at an African high school, Sumner High School. It's very famous, and he found the movement because, was it the principal? Or that, you know, said that if you're going to be a white teacher in this school, you need to join USM, and Connor was the only one that did it. So, I also want to bring to the stage our newest membership coordinator, Ben Rosenzweig, who needs to be relieved from security, please. And we also have some amazing active members. I would like to also bring to the stage Carly and Meadow, Uhuru. And some folks that have been doing some great work coming to meetings are Brent, Dylan, and Emma, who could not be here today. And I know that we also have and Rowan, well, actually not a member, but very awesome supporter who will be joining our table at Pride. We also have Virginia in Louisville, who could not, who had to leave, but Valerie will be giving her report on her behalf when it comes to that. So now I just want to open it up for some of these comrades to talk about some of the work we've been doing.
Thank you, Casey, for the opportunity to run through some of the stuff that we've been doing here. So I just want to appreciate Casey and her leadership here in St. Louis, because we're going to talk about a lot how we have been building this branch, but I've been here for like 9 months. She's been here for almost 2 years, moved here to build this branch. So I really want to appreciate Casey and everything she has done. So our St. Louis branch, to build it, we've been hosting weekly meetings every Monday at 6 at a free venue called Lemp Neighborhood Arts Center. This is where we had previously held studies, the chairman's political reports, film screenings, speaking events, and it's a great venue that is a free public venue that we can bring people to. And we promote these meetings by making Facebook events for it every week, putting up flyers, posters, hosting events, announcing our meetings at those events, and inviting friends, family members, and contacts that we sign up at outreach tables. So we actually have, I want to appreciate also the party and the materialist approach they give, the scientific approach to outreach, because we can actually trace back how we got a lot of our members, and we know it's working. So we know, for example, that Ben, this amazing comrade, found out through a Facebook event and showed up at our meeting, and now you saw him with the appeal yesterday, and he's such an amazing comrade. So Ben, thank you. And we know we have another comrade, Aaron, who found out through signing up on a contact sheet at a drag show, and saw us again at an outreach table, and then came to our DREP event, and then told one of her friends, and he joined too. Dylan also joined because of Aaron. Meadow found out through an outreach table at SLU, and now she's been an amazing contact at SLU to help us get into classes, speak to professors, and keep us up as a constant presence there. And finally, Carly took a flyer from KC and then came to an event, and that's how Carly joined. And now she's also an amazing comrade who's over food coordination for the whole national convention. So, thank you, Carly. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yes. All right. So we host a lot of fundraisers here in St. Louis for the Black Power Blueprint. And we're always engaged in outreach to win white people to attend, support, and contribute resources. So you can see we have pictures. We've got Connor on the left here, signing up some contacts. In the middle, we've got Raya and KC at the Ritz Park. We've done a lot there. And then on the far right at the Soulard Farmers Market, that happens every Saturday. This is 9 to 11. Yeah, and so Then we've got on the far left, Casey and Carly doing some postering for the convention before the poster was updated. And in the middle, man, these two very attractive people. Anyway, oh yeah, that's right. They are flying also, doing some drops on Wyoming for our All Diamonds Are Blood Diamonds event. And then, of course, Casey doing in the doorway. Far left, once again, two good-looking people doing some. This was at the Women's March, the white feminist women's march, and doing some outreach there. It was extraordinarily cold. Didn't stay there very long, but we did sell a fair amount of spears there, and so I think it was at least 25. But yeah, and then far right, we've got someone with a beard, and then somebody. So we were doing some spear. This was in collaboration with Selling the Spear and trying to get some signatures for the Keep 28 campaign in the Central West End. Yeah. Oh. Perfect.
And then I also want to say that we do phone banking at our meetings. So what I'll do is print the names and numbers of about 100 contacts, and then 3 to 5 people will stay behind after the meeting, and we'll send them all personalized texts or call as many people as possible. And when we do that 4 times a month, and make sure that we are in touch with all 400 of our local contacts and supporters at least once a month, and everyone takes notes of people's responses, and the most people that are most responsive, enthusiastic, get added to a hot contacts list, and they're the first that we call for big events. And then Carly is going to talk about the Keep 28 campaign as well.
Uhuru. The party has also called on the St. Louis branch to build solidarity with the Keep 28 campaign. As Casey said, the city is trying to cut the wards down in half to 14 and wipe out the black vote and ability for the black community to run candidates on progressive platforms. This ward reduction bill was passed in 2012, and although 60% of black voters voted against it, it was ultimately white people who voted it in. We need 31,000 signatures to get this issue back onto the ballot. So we are getting those signatures in the white community as a self-criticism and a stand of solidarity. Here's some pictures of, I lost my spot, of our Keep 28 outreach. In addition to collecting signatures and winning white people to come to the Keep 28 Sunday rallies hosted by Impedum, this campaign opens the door for us to talk about reparations and how we need to get behind black community control of the police and black economic development. And do we have pictures? Some pictures of the Sunday rallies, which are super incredible. They happen every Sunday and are very critical that we win our members, supporters, and new people to attend these rallies as often as possible. Uhuru.
Uhuru. And then, yes. And then Meadow's going to talk about the NTU Volunteer Brigade.
So, being in St. Louis, we also have the honor to be part of the on-the-ground Black Power Blueprint volunteer workdays with the N2U Volunteer Brigade. These are really key because you can participate in the Black Power Blueprint directly and literally see with your own eyes out here the work of the Uhuru movement and touch it with your own hands. We salute T'Charwa for organizing the amazing N2U volunteer days since the beginning of the Uhuru House construction. The picture on the left is what is what the room used to look like. The picture on the right is Comrade Kitty. Hello. Painting on one of the work days. And then the next slide, yeah. Our chair, Jesse, came for one of the work days and is scraping old paint off the wall upstairs. And the picture on the right is of the N2U Volunteer Day for MLK Day.
Mm-hmm. All right. So here's one of my favorite things that we're also currently doing. It's drag imperialism to its grave. And you know, there's a lot of drag shows in St. Louis, and USM is really building a culture of reparations in the white drag community as well as in the larger mean anything. So we've had the first two on the left were really amazing, and then we have the next one coming up on, the flyer needs to be corrected, but it's going to be on May 8th, and it's also a great way to win performers, you know, that people that don't come to meetings, they come and perform at the event and bring their friends and hear African internationalism, and they've been raising, you know, upwards of $500, and we're hoping to get them to raise $1,000, so I'm really excited about that, and I also wanted to salute Gregory Pfister, who's not here, moved to Portland for a little bit, but has been instrumental in bringing our chapter to where it is today. And I was going to have Virginia come up and talk about Louisville, but we are out of time. So actually, instead of reading her report, I'll just briefly go over that. I did go to Louisville. You know, Hallie said earlier that it's really good that we are going to other cities as the regional coordinators. And Virginia hosted the All Diamonds or Blood Diamonds tour in Louisville, and it was really amazing. I went there to help with outreach, got contacts at a march, and at a bar that my friend took me to a comedy club, and that's where we got 2 new people that came to the event and joined. Virginia did an incredible job doing outreach. She actually really worked hard, despite health contradictions, to build the meeting that we held when I visited, where 3 people came and to, you know, participate in the postering, and it was a very successful event. And so there's Virginia doing outreach, and also Carly and Ben came with me to Louisville to host the event, and, you know, filled in roles that Virginia had not previously filled. So that was amazing. You know, we have an amazing cadre that will go to Louisville for a whole day to make an event happen. And so the results are that we, for the Midwest are that we've raised at least $4,300, not including expenses, birthday fundraisers, pledges from webinars, and spear studies. We recruited 32 members. At the beginning of the year, we increased our spear sales from 25 to 50 a month and have been consistently selling all 50, if not just a little bit shy of that. In terms of events since last convention, we did a screening of Concerning Violence with Chairman O'Malley as our keynote speaker. We did a No Pride in Genocide featuring Columbai and Danette and Kitty Riley. We did a screening of Eyes of the Rainbow, the Assata Shakur documentary. We did a study of Overturning the Culture of Violence, and what's not on here is we have, which is really important, and I'm self-critical, it's not on here, but we did a study of the chairman's political report to the 7th Congress, and Lisa Watson came from Minneapolis to participate, and Virginia called in from Louisville. We also did an event called What Do You Mean by Reparations? Tour of the Black Power Blueprint, which we should definitely do again with the reparations question being so mainstream now. We also did a very great day of reparations to African people. We've had 2 Drag Imperialism to Its Graves and 2 All Diamonds or Blood Diamonds events. And then our goals are to and I was going to save this for the a little bit later, but I should just say it now because it's so much a part of our goals. I'm very, very excited to announce that the office of the African People Solidarity Committee has moved here, and Chairwoman Penny Hess has recently moved here as well. So that is a huge, we are all, I can speak for us all that we're all really, really excited about that. It is just going to make such a huge difference. And so just really want to salute all the APSC members in St. Louis, of course, Kitty Riley, Raya Fogarty, and now our chair, Penny Hess. And so that, you know, that is very important for meeting all these goals, which of course are to build our Midwest Regional Committee. Right now, we just have myself as the chair. And I also want to salute Laura Donovan, who is in Milwaukee, who was actually recruited by Musa. They went to college together, and she was going to come to this convention but got sick, but she has been attending our Midwest regional meetings, and all the positions besides myself as chair are open. And we need to recruit a new USM Midwest Regional Coordinator because I'm the APSC Midwest Regional Coordinator. It doesn't make sense for me to do both, so we need to fight for division of labor. We also want to build a branch in Louisville, where Virginia's doing amazing work. We want to see Milwaukee, where Laura lives, as a new organizing area, as well as Kansas City, because we have a member there, and it's so close. And then we also are going to raise $125, recruit 41 more members, sell at least 500 spears, and that's kind of a low number because I actually just had St. Louis in my mind when I wrote that. We also want to host a No Pride and Genocide event in June, hold a March for Reparations in action in August, and host a Day of Reparations in Louisville and St. Louis. And in terms of how we're going to do that, it's very similar to the other regions, you know, and that's what I love about this high-level organization. We're one organization, we're one movement. The POA is there. We just fill in the gaps and use our creativity to make it special for our region. So, you know, these events that have been mentioned, as well as building the web shows, a lot of which are broadcast live from here, so bringing in more of a live audience. Our new member Dylan, who came yesterday and loved this, texted me this morning and said that he can't wait for the next meeting and to start doing the work, and also has AV experience and has expressed interest in joining the video production team and engineering the webinars, our web shows. So I'm really excited about that. And then, you know, we want to keep doing our drag shows, film nights, and doing anti-colonial walking tour, which I know that a comrade Raya, who could not be here today, would be amazing at that. Raya knows so much about the history of St. Louis, as well as T'Charwa Masimba. So, you know, that tour is urgently needed for this city. And I believe that is the end of the report. And so, yes, so this is what we have right now. The branch in St. Louis, active organizers in, oh, I forgot to mention that, of course, Lisa Watson lives in Minneapolis, and we also have Leah Fifield, who was mentioned yesterday, who won the award for Best Reparations Challenge. So, keeping us afloat for the Reparations Challenge goal for the Midwest. And then we have Milwaukee, where Laura Donovan is, and then Louisville. Kentucky it's right here. It just wasn't on this map. But that's Kentucky, and that is Louisville. And then moving forward, we want to turn Louisville into a branch, and then also have active organizers in Kansas City. So that is the goals. We're going to make it happen. So I just want to really appreciate my branch, the African People's Socialist Party chairman, deputy chair. We love you. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Give another round of applause for Casey and all the comrades in the Midwest region. All right, so that was very, very exciting, and I really appreciate hearing from Casey and all of the great comrades here in St. Louis. And now we're going to go into the 3 cities where we are currently actively organizing within the Western region, starting with Comrade Mads for Portland, USM. Uhuru.
Uhuru. I want to first just really salute the chairman for the regional structure. I think it's just really developed the Western region so much. We've been going to each other's events, working each other's events, being on meetings with each other, and it just creates this, you know, for people who are new joining, that it's beyond just our city, and of course it's in the whole world. And I also just want to salute Marissa Martinez, who is now an NPDM, for being an amazing Western Regional Coordinator, who was, you know, like texting me every day during DREP for months in advance and really keeping us on our toes. And I'm really excited about the possibility that Wendy might be interested in that role. So it's really needed. It's really important. So I just want to say that. So next slide. So some of our awesome active organizers. I'm the chair. Dakota is the secretary, also has emceed, I think, 2 or 3 events now, and is just an incredible MC. Also was a sponsor for the Reparations Challenge, and also coordinated the Blood Diamonds Tour event, was the event coordinator. And then Monica Chiotti, who is the treasurer, has also did the logistics for the Africans Must Lead event, and also actually was a sponsor as well. We have a membership coordinator position is open right now. We do have someone or a couple of people who might be interested later on. So I'm hoping that position is filled, but it is open right now. And then Josh Olinger, who keeps up our social media content and our Facebook page, and is awesome
keeping all of those things up to date. Other active members, Jessica, who who's been doing security for our events, also is a sponsor, and Josh Spencer, who has done security twice now, and is going to coordinate an event coming up for No Pride in Genocide. Jay, who offers their office space and did AV, and Jay is a really new member just in the last couple of months and has just really stepped up a lot. S, who has done registration a couple different times as coordinator, and then Jen, Casey, Chelsea, Danny are newer members or coming back to the work. Chelsea's coming back to the work and are excited to do outreach and all of these things. And Kaylee, who has also done security coordinator positions as well. Next slide. So one of our victories is that we finally made a weekly meeting, and for a while it was, every other week or once a month, and it was kind of all over the place. And now we're doing every Sunday at 6 o'clock at Jay's office space. Next slide. Our other strength is that we've got exciting new members that want to do outreach, and we're going to be doing outreach training for the next open meeting. So Anne, I want to connect about that. And there's a picture of Leah and Britt doing some outreach at a local market. Next slide. And another strength for our region is that in Pedem and the Office of the Deputy Chair are building and opening up new fronts in Portland, and it's given way for us to be able to, have more party support or support the party on the ground there. And that's a picture of us with, Akile and Kalambai came to Portland, which was just incredible earlier this year. Next slide. So our open meetings, like I said, are every Sunday, 6 o'clock. This is a picture of the space. It's really cool. It's Jay's office space. She's a tarot reader, and so it's very, very comfortable. We're like always sitting on the floor and with bean bags and pillows, and it's very awesome. Next slide. And this is a picture of us we had a phone banking pizza party. So we had pizza, I think there was this was before a bunch of people had to leave. I think there was like 12 of us in an apartment doing phone banking and ate pizza, and we were like, oh, this person's coming, someone would hang up the phone and we all cheer. I really encourage you, if you haven't done that before, it's really, really fun. And then we took the flyers and went out and said, okay, we're going to Southeast, you're going to North Portland, and we all flyered at the same time in different areas of the city, and that was with Pedem as well, which was really great. Next slide. Some of the special events we've had over the year was we had a local pizza restaurant, Red Sauce Pizza, hosted a brunch with benefits, which was a fundraiser for the Black Power Blueprint. We also hosted a film night watching Concerning Violence, and also had an anti-colonial yard sale. And I think the last two were fundraisers for DREP. Next slide. And the supporting party campaigns was, like I said, when Akile and President Kalambai came to Portland and Seattle as well, and did the Africans Must Lead speaking tour, which was an Pedem recruitment event. And we were, there was only, I think, one active member at the time, and now I'm not sure how many there are right now, but it's definitely grown because of this event, of course. But we, as USM, were called to step up, and it was the first time that we had a committee with, combined, and it was just such a great learning experience for me and all the other USM comrades that did that. And then we were able to do that as well for an anti-colonial town hall meeting, which was in response to a town hall meeting that was in the white LGBT community. Some of the Proud Boys had come in and started attacking white LGBT people, and there was a big, 500-person town hall meeting about that, where Comrade Israel came from APSP and spoke at that town hall to call for an anti-colonial town hall that would actually address, the white nationalist presence, and of course connect it to African internationalism and colonialism. And so we were able to be on those committees, and also it was a great recruitment for white people who wanted to, be in solidarity with these actions. And so I think we got, 3 new members eventually from that event as well. Next slide. So we're gonna do Days of Reparations, or we did do Days of Reparations, All Diamonds Blood Tours, and we are going to do No Pride in Genocide and Days of Reparations in 2019. Next slide. This was low because I was counting from January, so I'm self-critical. I did not update this. But we have raised so far since January 605 new members, had 3 events and sold 45 spears. But I believe if we count, I think we raised over $5,000 at Days of Reparations alone last October. And I'm self-critical. I want to have these numbers that are clear and concise, and I want to keep up with that as chair of Portland. Next slide. And then our goal for the rest of the year is to raise $7,000, recruit 15 members, and I also want to come up with a burning spear, spear cell that has science behind it, during our outreach, our goal for that as well. And that's my report. Uhuru.
Uhuru. All right, Comrade Mads. All right, so now we go to Spokane, the hybrid of Seattle and Spokane, led by none other than Comrade Jesse Call. Uhuru.
Uhuru. All right, already 5 minutes. Okay, perfect. I will be swift. I will be quick. We cannot, well, first of all, salute to Chairman DeCiona, Chairwoman Penny, and Chair Jesse. Your leadership is invaluable, beyond valuable. Let me say we cannot talk about Seattle without first, or USM's presence, I should say, in Seattle without first saluting Comrade Ann Hirsch, who was out there 4 years ago when I met the movement officially, and was doing it solo, dolo. So any of you that are in a city by yourself, please take a look at the most radical revolutionary midwife I've ever met, and follow her example. Ann is truly tenacious, and there's been multiple waves of USM's presence in Seattle. And let me just say first and foremost, Seattle is a very white liberal cesspool on occupied Duwamish territory, and the Duwamish people do not even have recognition from this illegitimate empire. They're not even considered a real people, according to the United States federal government, because so many of them were decimated. So many of them and other Coast Salish peoples were decimated by the colonizer nation. So we're often confronted with, what about the indigenous people? And the answer is, yeah, what about the indigenous people? This land belongs to them. That is a part of this exact same movement. And then there's indigenous peoples throughout the entire region. The list is limitless. There's a lot of indigenous people in the state of Washington. Oh, there we go. There's the state right there. So you see Seattle up there. I like what Comrade Howley said, that these are all artificial colonial borders anyway, but Seattle is very close to Spokane, and we would not be doing the work we're doing right now if it wasn't for our Spokane comrades, some of them here right now, and some I'm sure watching, because they're having viewing parties both days, and one of them is moderating. Salute Kristen Fortham. You see how close Portland is, and as Mads was saying, we really salute Chairman's strategy and the party strategy for building regionally, because we are at each other's events, whether remotely or in person, and it has just deepened our unity so much and built our capacity so much. I don't see up there Vancouver, but we really, I know Alyssa, you're probably watching right now. Comrade Alyssa, please join us in the Seattle Spokane work. We know how much you love the party, how much you love African internationalism. We want you to be a part of our work locally in Seattle, Spokane, and I imagine this time next year or the year after that we'll have branches in all 3 of those cities. Not imagine, we'll make it happen using the science. So Seattle, lead organizer, myself, Jesse Call. In Spokane, we have Kristen Forthen, who is our secretary, and just as Chair Jesse was saying earlier about Ali's contributions as secretary, Kristen is the glue, and was the glue during the, when Marissa Martinez was our Western Regional Coordinator, and continues to be the glue as we're this blended Spokane branch. We also have here with us membership, person over membership who was recently chained, Janet Van Fleet. Will you please stand, Janet? Uhuru, comrade. Janet is on, yes, Janet. Janet was recruited by Comrade Ann when she was there years ago, and has just deepened and deepened her unity over the years through all of the phases of USM. And Janet is a perfect example that security is a matter, first and foremost, of political unity. And salute to Director Chimaranga for teaching me that. Janet is an amazing and powerful force who doesn't have to be boisterous and outspoken to be in full unity with the party. We also have our beloved newer comrade, Ron Hudson. Stand up, Ron. There's Ron right there. Ron was one Ron was one during phase 3, I guess, of Seattle's work, and under Marissa's leadership. He met Comrade Marissa Martinez at an ICE rally, this illegitimate organization that cages Indigenous children on their own land, and they were outside protesting, and Ron came into the work during that time and was one to deeper unity during DREP, and has now been a logistics coordinator at 2 events, one for an Impedum USM co-sponsored event, Africans Must Lead Tour, and then our most recent All Diamonds Are Blood Diamonds event. And Ron is just through the roof with unity. Love you and salute you, comrade. We also have with us right now our treasurer, Jeanette Cruz. Jeanette, will you please stand up? She's taking pictures all day. Uhuru, Jeanette. Jeanette is amazing, and as I said earlier, is very interested in doing all of this DIY, just like that quilt you see hanging under our Make America Pay Reparations banner. She also made one for my little baby, and it's in his crib, and I've shown every single person that asked me for a picture of my baby. And then our beloved comrade, Jake Scott, is in Spokane, and I know would be here if it weren't for health contradictions. Salute to you, Jake, and I know you'll be instrumental in bringing the No Pride in Genocide campaign to Spokane. All right, next slide, I'll be quicker. We meet every single Sunday, 6 to 7 p.m. In Seattle at the Urban Work Lofts next to the Old Rainier Brewery. It's an amazing conference space that has a big monitor on the wall, and we use that monitor to bring in our comrades who are in more rural parts of Western Washington, and then also, of course, our Spokane comrades. And Alyssa, one more time, we'd like to have you there too. Uhuru, next slide, please, Director. Okay, and a victory from the end of last year was a phenomenal turnout to the Days of Reparations with African People event that was organized. That was the last USM event organized by Comrade Marissa Martinez, who, let me just say real fast, after Comrade Ann had to leave us, we were a recently consolidated branch there in Seattle years ago, I guess a little over 3 years ago, and Comrade Ann had to go back to St. Pete. Us little Bambi-legged revolutionaries were not adhering to democratic centralism. We weren't fulfilling our mandate. We weren't bringing in reports about our weaknesses, only our victories, and we had to be shut down. It was the correct principled decision, and some of us chose to stay through that transition. But if it wasn't for Marissa Martinez coming from San Antonio and reigniting our flame, we would not be what we are today. So, Comrade Marissa Martinez, we salute you. I know you're in Impedum now, and Marissa came into that realization that she needed to be organizing with her Indigenous brothers and sisters during the transformative 7th Congress, and we unite with that fully and now get to work with her as she's a powerful organizer in Impedum. So thank you, Marissa. And she led me up to take over, and under democratic centralism, that is. And Chairwoman Penny was with us during that last event. I hope you saw how big the audience was. It was amazing to see this liberal cesspool taken over by real African internationalism. Okay, to the next slide. We had our incredible director, Akile Anai, come out for the Africans Must Lead Tour alongside Impedum President Kalambai and Annette, and that was pretty powerful. Not pretty powerful, it was as powerful as it gets. And they were on a radio show. This was hosted at a community radio station, and USM provided security. Ron oversaw logistics, and now Impedum has active organizers in Seattle and has held an event since this event. We were present at that as well. And Chair Jesse came and delivered a solidarity statement, and that was effective for the handful of colonizers in the audience. Next one, we on the left-hand side you see a poster making session. That was while Comrade Marissa, I believe, was at the Congress. So she was with us on the phone, and we were there making posters for DREP. And this is what Zoom looks like on the right. You see our APSC comrade Sandy Forrest there, who does a lot of work with comrade in the corner, and that's Jake. This is Jake right here in the bottom right. That's Kristen up there in the top middle. There's Marissa still in the top right, and Jeanette right above me and my son. So the Zoom platform is very powerful, and I encourage you to connect with Comrade Kristen Forthen about how to get that in your area too, because seeing people brings a whole another level of unity and realness to this. Had a great regional representation at the All Diamonds Are Blood Diamonds event, where we had people from Portland, 3 counties, counties in Western Washington and Spokane, all present in Seattle. Very winning, raised $900 and had a diamond return to Black Star Industries. This is outreach. We've got tables, and Comrade Marissa is so tenacious, was out there all the time, and we have been doing our damnedest to get outside of this thing called the comfort zone that only white people have the luxury of sitting in, and we're getting out there to do farmers markets and to invade leftist socialist spaces wherever, hands up, whatever. It doesn't matter what the event is, we're out there and we're pushing the party line, and we will continue to do so. This was at a film screening on the left-hand side. This was at an ice cream socialist social here on the right side, and we'll just keep going. Comrade Janet, I want to salute you for having an amazing run for reparations, 5K. That was, I believe, your first reparations challenge. It was very effective last fall. And I'm also self-critical. I did what Mads did and only counted from January, but we've already raised over 1,000 through Comrade Ann's tabling campaign and then our All Diamonds or Blood Diamonds event. I know we raised quite a bit more with DREP and other events. And then, of course, we've been contributing to the Impedum campaigns as they come through as well. And then we've co-hosted 4 events. Next slide. Our goals are to formally consolidate the Spokane branch, and it's only liberalism that has led us to not consolidate it right now. We were ready in February, so next meeting is Sunday. Let's just sign the contract and make it real next Sunday. Uhuru, we got to bring the chairman back. Seattle needs the chairman so deeply. The members of the Panthers and SNCC still remember the chairman from back in the day, and they're definitely going to know the chairman in the present day. New organizing areas. Seattle is a tech empire. Amazon is there, and they've not only kicked every African out of their own community, but they've also bought up the homeless shelters. They've found a way to sell you the cigarettes and a nicotine patch right after. And so we have to target Amazon, Microsoft, Boeing. It does a tech sector and military industrial complex. There's an ungodly amount of money and resources stolen from Africa being held on that indigenous land, and we need to infiltrate that. And we also need people with those tech skills. And we want to get into those universities, colleges and universities. We have to follow up on that. There's so many people ready for this analysis, tired of the liberal lip service talking. We got to raise $7,080, and we will do that and then some, recruit 15 more members, and sell 150 more spears. And I believe that's the last slide. My time was up a couple minutes ago. Uhuru.
Uhuru. All right, so we have one more report from one of our local leaders, and then we're going to open it up for discussion. And then I do want to say that at that point, we're going to have to go into the final part of our program. So we have to, unfortunately, we have to table the last workshop, all of it, actually, the one on what is your reparations plan. And we are going to actually table it, meaning we're going to hold a special meeting that everyone can call into on a Saturday and be part of. We'll probably use Zoom or whatever the video thing was that Jesse was talking about, and give people an opportunity, because we can't, I mean, even the original workshop had like 7.5 minutes for each person to present on these huge revenue streams. So even that is insufficient. We want to have a real conference to go more deeply into all of this. So I really want to appreciate the work people did to prepare those presentations, and we'll have an opportunity in the next few weeks to go into that. But I want to say that I think that the time was used very well today with the program that we had. It was amazing. It was very, very powerful. And we received amazing leadership from the party, from chairman, and from, from this movement. So last but not least, I bring you Comrade Rose Latoul, who is representing USM Oakland. Uhuru.
First of all, I just want to salute Chairman for all of the groundwork that you've done in Oakland and all of the work the party has done, and want to salute DCONA Zane Yeshatela for all of the groundwork that you've done at the Uhuru House in Oakland. And I know that you did so much right before I jumped in, and your presence there is constant, so thank you so much. And I want to thank Chairwoman of the African People Solidarity Committee, Penny Hess. You're my hero. I just want to be you. And I want to thank Chair Jesse Neville for being my right-hand man. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the significance of building in Oakland. So Oakland is where the Black Power movement started. It's where the counterinsurgency against the Black Power was first implemented. In the 70s, to keep the Black Power movement alive, the party took on the campaign to free Desi Woods, winning support all over the world for this African working class woman who was forced to defend herself against colonial violence by killing the white man who raped her. In 1981, the party moved the national office to Oakland, California, and opened the Uhuru House there. The party brought the needs of the African working class back to the political agenda in Oakland. The first party congress was held in Oakland in 1982, which resolved to build the African Socialist International. In 1983, Tent City for the Homeless, Oakland, was organized. In 1984, the party held the Oakland Summer Project, organized the Community Control of Housing Initiative, Measure O and Measure H, and created the Bobby Hutton Freedom Clinic. In 1987, the Uhuru Bakery Cafe opened in Oakland. Party owned Spear Graphics in Oakland, and the Uhuru Furniture Store and Uhuru Pies. So the African People's Socialist Party also brought Comrade Huey P. Newton back into political life, and his last speeches were made at the Uhuru House in Oakland. After his assassination in 1989, it was the party that defended his name when the white ruling class media slandered him. It was also during this time that Chairman first defined the question of parasitic capitalism. So it's really an honor to stand up here and represent Oakland. So we need a USM branch in Oakland. The white liberal petty bourgeoisie ideologies are implemented from COINTELPRO or actively training colonists, neo-colonists in the institutions such as Berkeley. The tech industry leaches African minerals and actively ethnically cleanses the African and Indigenous working class population. The queer LGBTQ population is actively gentrifying the Bay Area, specifically Oakland, and is deeply opportunistic and individualistic. And artists, musicians, community workers, health workers, we're all a part of gentrification in Oakland. Posters, Black Lives Matter posters, Berkeley against hate, Oakland against hate posters are the bare minimum, and it's I just want to bring more North Americans into solidarity in Oakland, and because all of the intersectional feminism and all of that stuff that we're deeply steeped in just shields us from the question of colonialism. So, Oakland leadership. Next slide. Next slide. Oh, it's not that squished. Okay, so Bakari Olatunji, Uhuru Foods Market Coordinator. He's a member of the African People's Socialist Party. He's lived in Oakland most of his life. He's exceptionally knowledgeable of the party's history in Oakland. I am honored to work with him to build the historic Oakland walking tour. He also leads the Regional Hub Committee. Siali Moyenda is a member of the African People's Socialist Party. He's in the Black Power Blueprint Committee, leading the plan for regional distribution of Uhuru Foods and Pies. Suksha Sarah is coordinator of Uhuru NTU Volunteer Brigade Orientation for Uhuru Foods and Pies. And Stephanie Midler, my cadre big sister, who couldn't be here today. I know you're watching. Uhuru, Stephanie. She has been in Oakland since 2014 and is the chair of the APSC Oakland unit. She has the honor of managing the Uhuru Furniture Store. Pete Yorshik is a member of APSC. Uhuru, Pete, I know you're watching. He leads the street fairs and operations, and I'm self-critical for not having a beautiful picture of Janine Griswold's face. She is the lead sales at Uhuru Furniture and coordinates Spear sales. And then in the middle is Kara Locke, and she is in APSC and leads staffing and recruitment. Uhuru. And Maureen Wagner, who is the chair of the African People's Solidarity Committee. else? And she's my main leadership. I love Maureen. I know that you're watching, Uhuru Maureen. And this is, we're just having a summation after MLK Day of Service in Oakland. Okay, so we've got about a dozen USM meetings in Oakland. We've been having them at Cafe Strata. We're actually not going to have them there anymore. It's right across from Berkeley. I've been having them every Monday. There's Kara and there's Tamara. Tamara wants to join, has united with joining and bringing her children to events, which is so cool. Next slide. There's wonderful, she's so excited, Stephanie Midler. And then there's Paula Weiss. Paula is also united with joining and is becoming more active. It's me and Paula. That was actually the first meeting. That was great. And then that was right after the Oakland All Diamonds Are Blood Diamonds event, and I had recruited Roy RC that morning on the BART, and he has joined USM and has united with jumping into the treasurer role. So we are building a USM branch in Oakland. And this is some of our outreach. Pete and I are flying around Berkeley, which is really interesting. There's Kara. We're doing outreach in the Oakland area. It's me and Maureen. That was like one of my first tables. She's been amazing in leading me on tabling. And that's a table we did, our outreach we did not too long ago. That guy was really great. Oakland MLK Day of Service, I got to speak. That was my first event where I got to speak, which was great. Look at all those people. We did so much outreach that day. It was so winning. And Uhuru Pie campaign is really strong in Oakland, and there's a comrade there, or a volunteer, sorry, and someone really excited about the pie. And then this is the All Diamonds Are Blood Diamonds event flyer, the Bakri spoke at, and then Jesse, and it was super successful. And I am doing this Tarot for Reparations project. You know, we, North Americans, especially in California, do a lot of, we're really interested in, you know, this like spiritual community, and there's a lot of spiritual bypassing that happens with our idealism, and, you know, this all comes from Africa, and it's all, you know, it's really based on the objective, you know, and before you can be spiritual, you really have to be able to see what's in front of you. So I really try to emphasize that when I do readings, because I don't even think we understand half of what we're looking at in this spiritual context without being African internationalists. And it's just an example of how anything we do can be tied into African internationalism and can be revolutionary. So book a reading. And so our goals, we are setting up for the Makers Fair in April, and we are planning for No Pride in Genocide in Oakland, which is going to be so winning, and Oakland needs it so bad. There are so many queer folks who I know unite with reparations and unite with being under the leadership, so it's going to be amazing and mobilizing. And we're also going to be planning for the speakers tour, and like I said, we're planning for the Oakland Historic Walking Tour, which is so rich and amazing, and I'm so honored to have these experienced comrades to work with. It's such a nurturing environment, and I'm just so happy to be from Oakland. Like, I didn't really like Oakland for a while, and now I love it again. So, Uhuru.
I really want to appreciate Comrade Rose just jumping in and organizing the work in Oakland, being very consistent, doing the tables, doing the events, and, you know, I'm interested in the Tarot for Reparations. I might sign up for that. I assume every reading ends with "You owe reparations to African people." All right, so that was great. Great to hear from all the regional and local leaders. And now I would like to ask all of the regional leaders and the branch leaders from the West to come back up on the stage. We're going to open it up for some discussion. So please come join me on the stage. And anybody who has any comments or questions, please come to the mic. Uhuru. So that's KC, Hallie, Rose, Mads, Jesse Call, if you can, and Ann Hirsch. And I want to grab my note. Oh, wow. Okay, great. Uhuru.
I just, amazing reports, and I salute you all for all the work that you're doing. I was thinking about a few years ago when we wrote articles like why I support reparations, like why educators should support reparations, why techno geeks should support reparations, things like that. So like all these different sectors of the white community. So I was thinking it might be you know, in this age now, instead of writing articles, but having a video, you know, so I just wanted to, you know, propose that maybe we could do something along those lines as part of the whole Make America Pay Reparations, because we're not just doing that this weekend, we're doing it, you know, forever. So anyway, or until the revolution comes. So, so I just wanted to salute everybody, and I think it's amazing work, and I'm just really, really excited to see that the regional strategy is coming into fruition. You know, we talked about it for a long time on the NSC, and to see it really happening, you can see how the power of the regional strategy. So, Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Uhuru. Uhuru. I really want to salute all of you for amazing reports and amazing work. Yeah. How exciting. And I unite that the regional strategy is playing out, and you can see the beginning of it and how, you know, really significant that this is going to be. So I appreciate all of it. It's incredible. It's really, I really uphold you and salute you all very much. I wanted to say that, you know, we're talking about actions in August, and I think that they should be regional and have a regional character. And I wanted to say, first of all, that for the southern region, and in a way, you know, they always say, well, Florida isn't really the South in a way. But, I mean, of course, it's geographically in the South. But I do think that we should build something in the southern states that's this, because there's this southern identity that has to do with, you know, the history of enslavement, and that of something like, you know, Southern white people for reparations, you know, kind of a thing that becomes an identity that could really be based in Alabama. And I was thinking that when we do the actions, that it would be really, I mean, first of all, Alabama had one of the biggest convict leasing also, and that Montgomery, you know, Montgomery, Alabama is where that first lynching museum is that Jesse and I got to go to. And it would be, I don't know, it could be just something like maybe we could have a march in Montgomery, which also was really important in the civil rights movement. And, you know, it's just so historic, maybe at or around that museum, and bring people there. That could be an action that we did for the southern region. I do think that I would really propose that the northern region maybe target Harvard. Yes. And, you know, the whole thing, or MIT for the reparations, because that is a big struggle that's going on there right now. And I think that I would propose that St. Louis, I don't know, you know, Chairman and Deputy Chair, what you think, but I think that it should target the NGA. And because for one thing, you know, just geographically, that street, Jefferson, is a very public, big street that we could have a, you know, really powerful march on, and really relate that to reparations are owed to the African community. And I do think that the West should target the tech and the software and all of that, and the coltan and what's happening in, you know, in Congo, and the blood diamonds and all of that as well, with just all the wealth that's there. So we could have these regional, different kind of actions that we're doing to begin to target different, you know, just sectors and exposing the need for reparations. I also want to just reiterate, Deputy Chair has raised it, it's been raised a couple of times, about the significance of the anniversaries of the Uhuru furniture stores, because there is no other organization, and no other organization of Black power, of, you know, the African Revolution, the African working class, that has anniversaries of institutions that are 30 years old and 25 years old. And that has to be something that the whole region supports, goes to, you know, just gets a bus to come to, because it is so historic and people have to be able to see that. So I think that's something that we have to take on, and that's going to be in July and July on the West Coast and early August, or no, vice versa, July in Philly and early August on the West Coast. So that among other things, but Uhuru, just really salute this, and build the regions, the branches, the 150 cities now, we have to build them into branches. All right, Uhuru.
Just to comment on that, because Ruby was talking to me on a break about, you know, making sure that USM mobilizes for example, the Health Fest in a few weeks and the big block party, you know, the anniversary. So I just want to confirm, resolution for the Northeast, I'll definitely have it on our, it already is, but I'll deepen it on our plan of action for the North, like mobilize, like, yeah, like get a bus, get a van, just like really put it out there to mobilize for both and future actions, like, you know, the hub, the furniture store hub, and then any events going on there, like get people to attend that from, like, focusing on the region. So, Uhuru.
Uhuru. I first of all really want to just appreciate this entire panel, and I want to appreciate our leadership. It's been just such a powerful weekend, and to have been here last year and then to come back and just see like new and old faces has been kind of mind-blowing. I mean, it's really, really powerful and really beautiful. And I really want to unite with what you said, Chairwoman Penny, about the regional specificity that we have to utilize to really get at the core of the, you know, the regional identities of different parts of the white community. And especially because I think when we're on tables and people ask, well, what are you doing here? Or like, why is this in St. Louis and we're in Boston? And you can really point to the fact that every single part of the white community has to pay reparations for one reason or another. And so I really unite with that. And then I also think layering in the national actions is super important, because then you have this unified action that's happening at the same time as the regional stuff. And I wanted to also raise, I really, really think we should focus on burning spear sales, so I really appreciate that everyone reported on that. And I want to just set really hard and fast goals and also utilize the APSC mandate that we as APSC members sell 25 spears a month. That's us alone individually, let alone what our branches have to do. And then that in combination with the Solidarity Spear Study, which is, you know, not only an institution of USM, but it's a revenue stream, and then we're really converting that to, you know, to a burning spear rally that I think is going to be really powerful. So I'm so excited to see what is happening. And then the other thing I just wanted to really appreciate is just seeing the strengths of different parts of the country and being able to learn from one another. And like, you know, I mean, Mads and seeing what you're doing in Portland is like, how do we do that in Boston? How do we do that? And we have to do it, you know, and then seeing your powerful tabling efforts in St. Pete is like, you know, we can do that. We can do that in Boston, and there's so much wealth, like so much wealth that we just have to tap into and return those resources. And I'm really, really looking forward to getting back to our hometowns and like just hitting the ground running. So I really appreciate that. Uhuru.
I can touch the mic. Thanks. I'm just kidding. Uhuru. No, I really want to again salute this convention and you amazing organizers in your various areas, and really putting into practice the strategy and the political report to the 7th Congress that Chairman wrote around this whole regional strategy, and you know, participating in this convention and, you know, just seeing how it's being implemented, you really see why the strategy is necessary, why the Chairman talked about the regional strategy building these regional hubs and how beneficial that is to the whole organization and the recruitment process. And the whole thing is everybody has to be motivated by recruitment. Recruit, recruit, recruit. That is the main goal for everybody in any of our organizations, any of our institutions, is to bring more people into it. And this is how we do that. And it's also to protect the already existing institutions that we have. Talked about the, the anniversary coming up in Philly and how Philly is being, terribly gentrified and the black community is being completely, removed from it. And so we have to protect the institutions in Philadelphia, even in St. Pete. The Uhuru House is being surrounded. They're eating up that community day to day. And so these institutions that we have to build and that we have need to be protected, and that can only happen through building and recruiting and creating actual branches and organization. So I just, salute you guys for the work it is that you guys have taken on in terms of building the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. I was actually going to say what Comrade Mara said. In terms of the burning spear, because I feel like, in some of the reports it talks about the spear sales, and I feel like that's low. That's a low number of spear sales. Just in terms of what it is I know that spear can do and how winning that newspaper is, and that there's a column, White Solidarity with Black Power, in the newspaper, reflects the work of the Solidarity Movement, and that is the African People's Socialist Party. That spear is whatever you want to know about the party, what it is we stand for, it's in that newspaper, and that is the best recruitment tool that you can have, and it's the best morale booster and everything, and it's brings the party to the people. And that I would like to see the spear sales goals increase, because I think that it can really sell and it'll build a branch. I really think so. And also book kits in every region, selling the chairman's books and we even the DVDs and all of these things need to be in every single region. So I just wanted to put that out there as well. Uhuru.
I just want to speak briefly. I really want to appreciate what Director Akili just said about boosting the SPEAR goals and making that scientifically accountable, and really building the outreach and the branch building around leading with the SPEAR, reading the SPEAR, buying the SPEAR. If you don't subscribe to the SPEAR, I got questions for you. I'm going to ask them. I'm going to call you on the phone and ask you. So all of the regional coordinators, I just want to let you know that part of the 2019 Solidarity SPEAR Study POA is to keep SPEAR sales of the regions accountable, and Johan Bedingfield, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, has taken on as United and take on that role, and we're really excited. So I'm going to be in touch with every single one of you about your SPEAR sales POA for your regions and your local areas. I'm really excited about it because, as we've been talking about, there's a crisis in the superstructures, an ideological crisis, and crisis is a Greek word for tear. And what is the SPEAR going to do? It's going to open that crisis even deeper. So I need you to lead with the SPEAR, read the SPEAR, attend the SPEAR study, which will turn into a SPEAR rally where we'll celebrate your SPEAR sales victories. And yeah, we're going to talk about that as soon as possible. So I just want to salute all the regional structure here, because as a nomad, since I joined the movement, I think I've lived in maybe 5, 6, 7 different places, including Hawaii, where I sold the burning spear in Hawaii to Comrade Olafin and to a bunch of Chinese old ladies. So if I can sell the spear in Hawaii to a bunch of Chinese ladies, you can sell the spear anywhere you are, and we need to mobilize around it because it is the most powerful and important tool that we have in the war of ideas. Uhuru.
Yeah, I just want to appreciate Valerie. And I'm sorry we didn't get to hear the report on the SPEAR studies, but can we give a round of applause for Valerie for leading the SPEAR studies of USM, doing a great job every single Saturday, leading the Uhuru Solidarity Movement SPEAR study. Uhuru.
Uhuru, yes, I really wanted to unite with that. I mean, that SPEAR study is there every single week. It's 6 o'clock on Saturday, and I really, really salute Comrade Valerie for making that happen and doing it. Uhuru. And I just wanted to add that I forgot to say what the chairman was raising about doing an action on Wall Street. Wall Street must pay reparations, or March on Wall Street, reparations to African people, something that could be in and of itself you know, an action that we did that I think it could draw a lot of media, a lot of attention, and we could probably even get many other people to join that in New York City. So I think that's something that we do have to do.
Yeah, make occupation makes sense, kind of.
Yes, make occupation. Yes, right, Uhuru, yes, occupy.
Uhuru, I just want to unite with the burning spear. You know, I watch Valerie all the time. She's really good and powerful. I just really want to appreciate the regional representatives and the strategy that the chairman has laid out, you know, in the 7-party Congress. It's really going to take us to the next level. As you can see, it's already taken us to the next level. And one of the things that I want to also congratulate, you know, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement for upping their pledge from 100,000 to 150,000, which is broken down into each regional region, you know, so everybody get a piece of the pie, you know. So what I want to say is that in the African People's Socialist Party, you know, the regional representatives in the Black Power Blueprint has specific things that they are working on, including selling and Uhuru pies in each region, you know, and I know right now you have your plan laid out for 2019, but I hope in, you know, going into the future that we can see USM and APSC regional representatives taking on building Uhuru pies in your area, as well as the Buy Bike Power campaign that we laid out in the Congress, and also Uhuru Wabingi, which is the Freedom Bank that we're going to be creating like an internal loan program within our movement where every department and organization will have an opportunity to contribute to this bank, and then you will be able to borrow money from this bank to get, you know, your region, you know, your economic development started in your region. So we'll have our own internal bank within the party and APSC. So I hope that, you know, some of these things can be implemented in the region as well. Uhuru.
Uhuru, that's what everybody said is really exciting. So Uhuru, and I just wanted to say that I would love for drag imperialism to its grave to come to St. Pete. I want you guys to come to St. Pete. I think you should be a traveling show, but you know, I know you got a lot to do. So, but I would really love for you to come to St. Pete.
Yeah. Right on. Real.
I know my sister Ella Cadre is on security, but I think Joey and Ella would definitely be down to hit the road. And yeah, so I just wanted to really appreciate all the comments that were given, and I really unite with what Chairwoman Penny was saying about the specific regions and like taking on the NGA, and that was something that in St. Louis, and that was actually something that we had discussed before last year's convention. Oh, I was looking for you. And I think, you know, through discussion and you know, opening it up, and also I was thinking about like the Westlake landfill as well as something that we really need to take on locally. So I really want to set meetings around that soon. And then I just also really, really unite with the call to up the spear sales, that the goals that we put are very low, and that, you know, I really want to salute Carly, who has done an amazing job selling the spear, because we get 50 spears a month in St. Louis, and it has been mostly myself that has been selling the spear, but recently that we have opened it up where our members such as Ben have been buying like 10 or so spears of that bundle and then selling them and making the money back. And like when we go out to Soulard Market, Carly, like some of us will be at our table and Carly will go to another part of the market and sell the spear. So that could be something that's incorporated in tabling, where if you have enough people, you can have one people focused on raising the resources, getting contacts, and then sending someone off into the crowd just with the spear, because you can be really mobile with it. So I totally unite that, you know, the spear, it's just $1, you know, it's worth so much more, and that, you know, you should, anytime you're not asking someone to sell this, to buy a spear from you, you're losing out on what is making the goal much higher. And then the last thing I wanted to say was that I really appreciate this Freedom Bank. What is it called again? Uhuru Wabingi. Yes, and that, you know, sometimes we run into the problem of like, you know, there are places where we can vend, where we know that we could make a lot of money, but we don't have the resources to actually get the table. Like, we know that we could pay ourselves back, but we don't have the money to like invest in it. So that's something that I think would be really awesome to have, like startup money, because we can turn it into so much more. So I see that being the future for a lot of how we're going to be raising these higher and higher goals. So, Uhuru. Oh, the NGA is the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. It's a spy agency being built in the Black community here, and it's, yeah.
Thank you. All right, Uhuru. So I just want to say that I fully unite with all of the comments and leadership from Deputy Chair, Chairwoman Penny, Director Akile, everybody that just spoke, and that yes, we will absolutely implement all of these things. We will hold these regional days of action based on the vision that Chairwoman Penny just laid out. Uhuru, Chairman.
I'm trying to sit here and not. This issue of the regional reps is a critical question, because in your hands, you know, the responsibility for developing every state, every city, every community in a particular region. What the regional reps, the regional structure strategy does is it makes somebody responsible. There's a responsibility in somebody's hands for the development of that entire region. And that's the thing that also is going to help to really grow membership. And for me, an important aspect of this too is, I've heard it referenced throughout this discussion. It gives us the opportunity to escalate our spear sellings and things like that, but also, like, we raise money for these institutions, and that's really powerful. But the thing is that these institutions, they are entities that can also raise money, and that we, through the regions, we have an opportunity to learn how to support these institutions beyond just raising money for them, but we can contribute to their development. We see them as ours. In that particular region, that's our institution. I think it's really important for us to sort of accept responsibility for the development of the institutions as well, putting the institutions forward. For example, Comrade Deputy Chair has been talking about Uhuru on the move, and creating, like, we need to be able in every region to take the pies, take Uhuru foods, the pies in particular. We're going to talk about opening up storefronts, particularly in the African communities, and these, we need to have the ability to move those pies throughout that region. There need to be an ability in a particular region to move all of those. We can just multiply our capacity, our growth. And right now, we've talked about how much we expect to raise over the next period, but that's without the kind of growth that's going to happen as a consequence of implementing the regional strategy itself. When we think about that, and we factor in a plan of action, expecting that we're going to grow this region by a particular percentage, and which means that we can grow the amount of resources we anticipate acquiring by a particular percentage equal to the growth of the region and our presence in those regions as well. And I think it just gives us a much greater capacity to grow and to put our movement everywhere and to grow our resources everywhere. And this is also part of the struggle against gentrification. To the extent that we are successful here, we'll see economic development happening in these African communities. And we'll see champions of this economic development happening everywhere the solidarity movement exists. In the old days, in the 1960s, there was a time when we were all under actual physical military assault by the police. We never knew when the police was going to come. Sometimes we get a suggestion, we get a hint. And if we were lucky, there may be somebody, some white group, some white entity that's somewhere in the area, we can call them up and they'd come and sleep in front of the building, et cetera, and knowing that the police is going to come. We're talking about now entire regions. because they're coming for us. There's no way that they're going to allow the kind of development that we're talking about to happen without every attempt they can make. They will make attempts to the slander and all this other kind of stuff, but they will also make attempts at actually destroying these institutions. So the institutions do not exist in some kind of vacuum. Every region where there's the party, there's NPDUM, et cetera, there's USM, there's APSC, and all of these other forces who are there to be in front of the pigs in the event if they want to make that move. We've had situations in Oakland, California, where we participate in a demonstration that supported Lavelle Mixon, who was an African who had killed 4 cops, they say, who himself was finally killed. And the African community came out to the place where he was killed, and they erected various kinds of, what do you call it, memorial entities to represent them, and the cops would come and take them down, et cetera. And they attempted to close down the furniture store. Groups of whites, and pigs in particular, initiated a campaign on social media, internet, and what have you, to shut down the furniture store in Oakland, California. My point is that the regional hubs are going to be so important. They're important because, like, they can come to our community. We are in their community now through USM, through APSC. It's not just some kind of one-sided thing anymore. And one thing that we learned a long time ago, in terms of defending yourself, if we have our opponents trying to use their hand to cover their own asses, then they don't have an opportunity to be throwing punches at us, right? So I think the regional hub strategy is going to prove to be extraordinarily important, and it's going to help us to build in ways that people who are attempting to contend with us now will not be able to do. Uhuru.
Just quickly, I just really want to appreciate Chairman's intervention in this process, and to say that, you know, we say in the ODC that we have to build on what we have. So we are successful in Uhuru Pies, in the furniture store, in newspapers, just building all kind of institutions. So we looked at what we are successful at, and this is what we started doing in the regional representatives for the party. You know, building on the pies, you know, Uhuru on the move. I forgot about Uhuru on the move till the chairman just mentioned it. You know, we got a new line of Enzo at the furniture store, which is African designs at home and abroad that we've been doing. People can duplicate those things in the region, you know, as well. I mean, those are successful institutions that we have already proven. We have expertise in it. We're going to be building the African Independent National Business Association, you know, coming up, you know. So, I mean, it's there already. Yeah. We just have to build on it. Uhuru.
All right, well, we just want to express appreciation for the statements by Chairman Amalia Shatella and Deputy Chair Ona Zane, and we have total unity with moving forward in this fashion and look forward to more meetings and conferences that we need to have to, you know, deepen our regional strategy within USM. So thank you so much, and thank you, and a round of applause for all of our regional and local leaders. Uhuru. And now, comrades, I turn it back over to our MC, Ali Aiello. Uhuru.
Uhuru, one more round of applause for those regional reports. So now, like Chair Jesse said, we had a change in the program. So now I would like to bring up Chairwoman Penny Hess for the appointment of the chair. Uhuru.
There's no suspense. No suspense. It is my great honor to nominate Jesse Neville for chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. Uhuru. And, you know, it is the, I guess, protocol or mandate of the party's constitution that the party names leaders of the mass work, or at least of the International People's Democratic Uhuru movement, and I believe of APSC as well. And they're chosen. They're chosen because these are roles that have to be guaranteed of tremendous unity and you know, and unity with the leadership of the party and democratic centralism. And that for the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, APSC names the leadership, and that's, I believe that is in our Constitution as well. But of course, APSC could only name a person that has the confidence of the party, that the party has confidence in. And I do want to say that I recognize fully that the African People's Socialist Party has full confidence and tremendous respect for Jesse Neville, for Comrade Jesse Neville. And as well as the African People's Solidarity Committee and all of your peers and the members of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, and even beyond, because you are known, you are recognized, you are recognized as a person of incredible integrity, a person who upholds the stance and the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, that upholds the party stance, the cadre, the always bringing the, you know, just all of the party's leadership and bringing it into the organization of Uhuru Solidarity Movement, winning it, developing your forces, bringing the political leadership to it with a tremendous hands-on yet, you know, confidence in all of the leaders that you are building that we see here, bringing organization, implementing that, cementing it, you know, just in every possible way. And as a cadre and, you know, and as a comrade that we've known now for almost 10 years, I guess, which doesn't seem like that, but in some ways. And you know, I personally have the most profound respect for you, that any criticism, you have just united with it, and not just in words, but have always deepened that and never had to revisit that. You know, it's just that you move on, you take on what's called on you to do it to the best, to the very best of your ability, bringing the most profound political questions. At the same time, your wit, your intelligence, your warmth, and just leadership as what a cadre should be. And I just have the greatest, again, the most profound respect for you, comrade, and I am very honored to say that Jesse Neville will be the next chair, again, or renewed as the chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. Uhuru!
Uhuru! If only mayors were appointed. All right. Well, I just want to thank you, Chairwoman Penny Hess, and I mean, I'm glad you mentioned the criticisms, because when I'm at my best, it is a result of my unity with criticisms raised with me by Chairwoman Penny Hess. And I have learned to be what I am because of Chairwoman Penny and because of the veterans of APSC, and I can't overstate my gratitude for Kitty, you know, for Janice, for Maureen, for Stephanie. Stephanie was the chair of USM when I joined, and The first criticism I ever got, I remember Stephanie raising with me, and it was sharp. Damn, I was new. And I was supposed to put up a poster or something, and she was like, why didn't you put up the poster? And I said, I don't know, because I'm stupid or something. You know, just self-deprecating white guy. And she was like, I think it's unity with imperialism. Like, you're right. And I made sure to get the damn posters next time. But I just really, really appreciate, you know, Secretary General Allison Haney, just everything I've learned from the leadership of APSC, and I love being the chair of USM. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for it. And it is crazy. It is a crazy, oh my God. It is an amazing experience. And I love all of the members of USM, just incredible people. And just, I remember the first time I walked into, because, you know, I'm like a lot of white people, I didn't really like being around other white people, you know? And I go to a family function, and like, you know, I go to, you know, I didn't like, I skipped school a lot because I didn't like being around people. And then I remember the first time I went to an APSC plenary, I'm like, I really like these people. All of them. What's going on? And it's because African internationalism, like Chairman Omali Yeshitela says, we have the opportunity as human beings to become the best of what's possible in every human being because of African internationalism. And that's what APSC is. That's what the Uhuru Solidarity Movement is. So thank you, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, for African internationalism. The most we say the best revolutionary leader of our time, the best revolutionary leader of all time. Of all time. Ever. 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 And I'm not going to start like slagging on other revolutionary leaders, but because, you know, I mean, they were all, you know, Mao was great and Fidel was great, but they were wrong about a lot of things. Like, Chairman got it all down. He solved every problem. He learned from everything that they accomplished and everything they didn't accomplish. And he summed it up and made a plan and a theory that it's just clear. It's a blueprint. It shows you this is how imperialism is going to be destroyed. This is how it's going to happen. This is what the world is going to look like, and this is how we're going to get there. So thank you, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, for this strategy for this movement, and thank you to Deputy Chair Ona Zenega Yeshitela for everything that you bring to this whole movement, but in particular, everything you've brought to the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, everything you've brought to me as a leader. I actually was in your office for a while. I worked in the office of Deputy Chair for a little while with Comrade Charles Oliver, which was amazing. Salute Charles Oliver. And just learned so much from you and continue to learn so much from you about what it means to lead, what it means to be a cadre, what it means to build organization, and, you know, everything, just so much. So I'm deeply grateful, and I also just want to appreciate all of the leaders and members of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, because you are, and it's a joy, it's an honor and a joy to work with each and every one of you. And we've been through a lot, you know, together in this organization. We've been through many struggles, we've been through many victories, and, you know, the highs and lows and whatever, and it's just a tight-knit, just strong organization that's going to go forward and carry out our goals and our strategy and do what we have to do to carry out our front of the African Revolution. So, Uhuru, thank you so much. The last thing, I've said this before, and whatever, I'm going to say it again. But you know the whole thing about like carrying on the torch or whatever, passing along the torch? I really don't look at it that way right now because, you know, first of all, Fidel Castro was like 100 and something when he died, right? And so Vo Nguyen Giap fought off the Japanese, the French, and the Americans, and then died at 102. And I think all of the leaders of the Uhuru movement are going to go way beyond that. So I am determined, as a so-called young person, I'm pushing 30, but I am determined that those of us who are the so-called young people, this generation, our job is not to take the torch as it gets passed. Our job is to ensure that the revolution happens in Chairman Omali Yeshitela's lifetime, in Chairwoman Penny Hess's lifetime, as the chairman says, while their finger still works. So we got to make it happen. Uhuru. Uhuru. And now we have an election. So we have, okay, so first I want to present to you the slate of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, the people who are up for re-election. So according to our Constitution, some of the roles in our national leadership are not elected at the convention. They're actually appointed by the steering committee, and those are people who do great work, like Valerie, who leads the Spear Studies, Mara, who's over social media, and other roles that we have, and including the tour committee is actually not an elected position. So in our Constitution, so that's why you are not going to see all of the national leaders up here right now. But the elected roles are as follows. So the national membership chair, who is nominated for that, I don't even think I need to say anything about this. Ali Ayello is nominated for national membership chair. Come join me on stage. I also want to bring up the regional leaders, Hallie Murray, Ann Hirsch, and Casey Mackey, Uhuru. And each of them does very powerful work that we just saw and really have the respect of the forces in their region. I've been to I've been in many time zones in the last few months, and if I'm in St. Pete, I see the work of Ann Hirsch on the ground in St. Pete. If I'm in St. Louis, I see Casey Mackey's work in action. When I'm in Boston or anywhere in the north, I see Hallie Murray. So it's just very powerful to see the work these comrades are doing, and they definitely deserve to be reelected, in my opinion. And now I would like to bring up Comrade Amanda, who is nominated for National Treasurer. And I would also like to say that Chairwoman Penny has been, really putting forward the need always to continue building secondary leadership in our organization. And we understand that, like you said, we have to scale this organization as we go forward. So we actually are nominating today for the vice chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, Comrade Amanda Carlozzi. And I just want to say, and she would still be the treasurer, but Amanda Carlozzi is nominated for vice chair, and I want to say that we recently had a meeting of the National Steering Committee, and it was kind of an obvious choice when we started talking about who would be the vice chair, because in many ways, Amanda is already carrying out that role, just carrying out so much high-level leadership over the day-to-day work of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement in such a powerful way. So we are very excited about Comrade Amanda accepting this nomination, Uhuru, and just really, really want to put that forward. So. And before I get to the next 3 positions, which are open positions, I do want to say that, well, actually, I did want to mention that I know somebody had nominated Wendy Craig for the Western Regional position, and I really appreciate that nomination, and I really appreciate Comrade Wendy Craig. I'm very happy to see you here and look forward to continuing to work with you. I would like to set a meeting to discuss further what that would entail and what that would involve and how we want to move forward with that. So that is my proposal for this time. But I really appreciate the nomination, Uhuru. So I just had a question. KC, Carly played some kind of instrumental role in the emergence of USM St. Louis, and which was that that was the entryway into the whole drag thing, was not? Okay, so I just wanted to mention that randomly. That Carly Spurlock, played a really important role in bringing USM St. Louis to where it is now, and has also played a fundamental role in the consolidation of this convention. And we are nominating to replace Ali Ayello as National Secretary, as she's moving into membership, Comrade Carly Spurlock. Uhuru. And I'm really excited about this nomination and about Carly's unity with this nomination because this is a really important role. Again, it is not a role we take lightly. It's not a role we throw anybody into. And You know, Carly has really proven to be a dedicated comrade and somebody who we feel very confident will jump into this role and carry it out in the way it needs to be. And the National Secretary job description is as such: the backbone of the organization responsible for enforcing and following up on all resolutions and action items set by the National Steering Committee. The National Secretary works with the National Chair to create the agenda for National Steering Committee meetings. He or she takes the minutes in the meetings using the minutes template, sends out the minutes 24 hours after the meetings to all participants, follows up on all deadlines for all action items in between meetings, and calls for reports on action items for each National Steering Committee meeting. The National Secretary is responsible for the update and storage of all documentation of USM, including digital storage through databases. And that is kind of the basic practical aspect of it. And then on top of that, there's just the political will to move it forward every single day. So we're very confident that Carly is going to do an amazing job with that in that role. So this is the slate. It's very powerful. And I also want to say that we have some open positions that we wanted to open up for nomination from our, and also if you're noticing that our Western comrades are not up here, it's because those are not elected positions on the National Steering Committee either. But Rose is continuing to lead USM Oakland, Jesse Call over Seattle, and Mads over Portland. So the open positions are info ed and outreach. And the National Information and Education Coordinator is responsible, this job description is in your packet, by the way, is responsible for leading a national info ed team that executes the following responsibilities: designs the leaflets, posters, banners, and other agitprop materials for the DSAP, that's Day of Reparations campaign, USM National Convention, and other national USM activities and campaigns, coordinates the USM website and makes sure that the site is updated on an almost daily basis with USM position papers, photographs of outreach activities, shared articles from theburningspear.com. Sorry, this is a little old. It says Uhuru News. It's vintage. Coordinates the USM weekly radio show on blackpower96.org. Come on, Jesse. That's why we need a national secretary. All right. Make sure all USM organizers of USM have all info ed materials for the Day of Reparations campaign and building the convention, as well as other regular outreach activities throughout the year, and works with outreach and trains all USM organizers on how to create propaganda in the USM style. So that's National Info Ed. The other position that is open for nomination is National Chair of Outreach. We have not had someone in this position for quite some time, and other people have stepped in to kind of fill the void in that. So the National Outreach Chair is responsible for leading a National Outreach Committee that carries out the following duties: creates an outreach plan template and provides to all organizers building events, reviews local outreach plans and provides leadership to them, same for the National Convention and all ongoing local USM activities, creates target lists and coordinates outreach plans for national USM events, including the National Convention, and international online phone conferences, meetings, and studies, coordinates the media for Days of Reparations and the National Convention, coordinates national tabling campaigns to raise reparations for the Uhuru movement, makes sure the USM website is up to date with promotions for all of USM's activities, especially for Days of Reparations events, convention, and radio show. And I want to add to that, making sure our events are being promoted on theburningspear.com. And coordinates the schedule of national HTML emails, that's like mass emails that we send out, promotes the USM radio show, Reparations in Action, and coordinates trainings on how to carry out outreach. So do we have any nominations? And you can nominate yourself, by the way. Sure, yeah, if you have a nomination, throw it out there. Let's hear it.
Okay, I wanted to nominate Ben Rosenzweig to be the National Outreach Coordinator. Ben's on security.
Ben's on security. The stoicism of the security, very impressive. Okay. You've been relieved. Wow, okay. Mike. Do you accept the nomination? I just want to say I unite with the nomination. I'll throw that in there. Oh, look at that.
Okay, I unite.
Woo! We played the deputy chair card on you, of course.
Oh my God.
All right, right, come on stage if you're not still on security. Uhuru. I'm looking forward to every overview you're going to give. Salute. Uhuru. What a great nomination. Do we have any other? You had a nomination? Oh, well, look at that. Okay. All right, do we have any other nominations for Info Ed? Chairwoman Penny is pondering. Glancing around. We need this role, let me tell you. And if you're not a graphic designer, that's quite all right. We will train you. We've got skills and expertise we can provide. All right. So at this point, we will take a vote. So please get your voter cards out. Oh, I don't have mine.
There's a lot in the back if we need them. Jesse, can we get
Oh yeah, everybody up here needs one. Sorry. There's a stack in the back.
Mars bringing it.
Okay, thank you, Mara.
Could we say, like, if you're interested in talking more, email us, or, like, people online?
Sure, yeah. If there's anyone online watching that's screaming, I want to be info ed at their computer screen right now, email us at info@uhurusolidarity.org and we will talk. All right, so does everybody have their voter card? Everyone's got their voter card? Okay. So all those opposed, let's start with that. All those opposed to the re-election of the USM National Steering Committee and new members who have been added, please raise your voter card. Okay. All those in favor of this magnificent USM National Steering Committee, please raise your voter card. Unanimous! Uhuru! Unity through? Uhuru! All right. Salute. So can we get a quick photo with everybody? And thank you to our great photographer, Jeanette.
Wait, where do we look? Wait, right here. Okay. You ready? Wait.
Chairwoman Penny, if you could join us. All right. Uhuru! Uhuru! Yes, absolutely, please. And Ben, if any of our new NSC members would like to say something, please, you have an opportunity to do so.
Uhuru. So I prepared a little thing to say. So I cannot express how honored and moved I am to be nominated and to be able to accept this role. Chair Jesse and Comrade Amanda came into my workplace, the coffee shop that I work at, on Thursday, and I was like, you know, in my dirty apron and my dorky little hat, and Jesse said to me that I should check my email as soon as I could that day, and they were both looking at me kind of intensely, and I was like, okay. And so I went home that day and checked my email to see that they were inviting me to fill this role of National Secretary. And I'm so excited to be deepening my commitment to USM and to the Uhuru movement. And I want to echo what Ben shared with us all yesterday during the appeal and say that I can relate so deeply to finally finding a purpose for myself and my life once I met the movement, and I finally want to get up out of bed every single day so that I can keep forwarding the movement. I want to appreciate the chairman for making it possible for me as a white person to be a part of the African Revolution and and the liberation of all African people and all people. And I want to appreciate DC ONA for all the truly dynamic work that you do, including building this beautiful house. I want to salute Columbai and Tucharwa, two remarkable St. Louis comrades that I'm so honored to know and work with. I want to salute the previous National Secretary, Ali, for doing an incredible job in carrying out the role, and I look forward to being trained by you. I have big shoes to fill, and I want to salute Raya Fogarty, of course, for laying the groundwork for all of us. As you know, my comrades were saying earlier, she is an amazing comrade. I want to appreciate Hallie for all of the guidance that you have given me. I want to salute Comrade Gregory Pfister, who couldn't be here today but has been watching online, for being an amazing friend and comrade. And I really, really want to appreciate Casey for recruiting me at the Soulard Farmers Market over a year and a half ago, and for being such an amazing leader and a model revolutionary. And lastly, I want to appreciate Mustafa Musa Abantu, also a model revolutionary. And I was so moved by what you said earlier, Dr. Akile, saying that I can't say that I love Musa without being a part of this movement. And that is so true. And I do love Musa. And so I want to be as revolutionary and as cadre as Musa was. Comrade Musa, long live. Long live! Thank you so much, Uhuru.
Oh, all right, Uhuru, everyone. Unity through? Oh, yeah. Wow, okay, so that was not fair because where'd you go? Where'd she go, Carly? Oh, she's getting a hug. Yeah, anyway, like, yeah, I feel honored. I feel honored, and more than honored, and to show that the feeling of honoredness, I'm going to put my heart and soul into this job, and to remember and honor Musa Abantu again. I didn't know him for very long, but my most powerful memory of him was when at the White Women's March, when it was freezing cold, and that we were going to be, I united with making an announcement, getting up onto a little embankment, or like a ledge, yeah, and standing up and shouting at all these people about coming to the MLK event day. And then I just, like, at the end, just like screamed Uhuru, and then Musa was right there, and he goes, and Uhuru means? He like coached me. He was like, oh yeah, and Uhuru means freedom. And so I just really want to I will be seeing him as a model. I wish I could be learning from him. I will be learning from all of you in terms of best practices. I see us all as outreach coordinators in one way or another, because all of us need to be talking about this, passionate about this. We are obviously passionate about this. But this needs to be seen. People need to be here. I want to see this place packed. We have members waiting around the world right now. They just need to see a goddamn Facebook page event. So, or they just need to talk to someone, or they just need to see something. And it's just these little moments that are precious. And so, and when we see that, the importance of what we're doing here, then those little moments can be made into something truly, truly grand. So I really want to appreciate and salute all the leadership once again. Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Deputy Chair Ona Zane Yeshitela, Chairwoman Penny Hess, and Chair Jesse Neville. along with everyone else who is here, Director Akile Anai. I'm missing everyone, but anyway, but I just unprepared. I don't have a little prepared sheet, but rest assured. Rest assured, the outreach is in good hands.
Uhuru, another round of applause for our National Steering Committee. I'm so excited to be working with these comrades, and you know, this is making the Uhuru Solidarity Movement's future look so bright, and yeah, I can't wait to work with everyone. So to close this out, I'd like to bring up Chairwoman Penny Hess for the closing remarks. Uhuru.
I salute all of you, and what an incredible leadership body has just been elected. Wow, let's give another. We have just seen here today, everything is possible. It's incredible, and I definitely want to salute Carly and Ben as powerful additions to this. And I'm very, very excited about that. And I do want to add that one of the things that we didn't talk about is that we have to build a Uhuru Solidarity Movement, as, you know, specifically in Canada. That, I think that was mentioned. And, you know, and Johannesburg, we've been called on to build USM there, and that's something that we really have to have a bigger meeting about. We've had a few meetings about it because we probably have members that know people that we need an in. We need to go there. And of course, there's incredible leaders of the party there, Tafari Mugeri and Asa, and you know, the African People's Socialist Party is really building there, and we need to build. Wow, how exciting to build a Uhuru Solidarity Movement on the ground in Johannesburg and Cape Town and, you know, in Azania, who are committed to unity through reparations. And then, you know, the African People's Socialist Party is very big in Europe, and we need to build in London, where the center, where the Secretary General of the African Socialist International, Luwezi Kinshasa, who has many great, and just I think yesterday or a couple of days ago had an incredible live stream analyzing the elections in Congo and the situation there. So, you know, this is, we've got to be in London. We have to be in London. So these are things that we have to set concrete steps for in the next few years. And I know that it is absolutely possible. We will be doing this, and it's part of the expansion that the chairman has talked about. So this convention today has been off the charts, and it is historic. This is history in the making, and we will see just a Uhuru Solidarity Movement under the leadership of the African Revolution, the African People's Socialist Party, building beyond anything, you know, that we can fathom at this moment. And this is going to happen very rapidly. The world is changing, the crisis of imperialism, the African revolution is rising and strong. It is winning, and it is so powerful to be white people on the winning side in the defeat of imperialism and the creation of a new world in which all human beings can live, in which we no longer have to be sitting on this pedestal. We do not have to be the colonizer, the oppressor nation. We can be under the leadership of the African working class and a new world without the oppressors and the oppressed. So I just want to say Uhuru to all of you, and unity through reparations.
Uhuru comrades, I really want to congratulate you for an incredible convention. And I want to also say at this late stage in the convention, Akwaaba, which means welcome. And welcome to this magnificent building, much of which is a manifestation concretely of reparations. I mean, those who are puzzled, you know that there seems to be some puzzlement. Bernie Sanders is puzzled. What do they mean by reparations? And tell him to put it in his GPS. 4101 West Florissant, St. Louis, understand? I really want to express, you know, again, my appreciation to all of you. And perhaps presumptuously suggest that you have not yet come to terms with how significant you are and the role that you're playing in history, right? I want to also, I cannot speak about Akwaaba without saluting Comrade Deputy Chair Ona Zene Shatella. Most of you have experienced her leadership in your committees and the organizations that you lead. And I'm only mentioning this, or one reason I'm mentioning this is because you may have, in recent past, heard some kind of slander about Ona Zene Shatella only being the deputy chair because of her relationship to me, which is really, it's a horrible slap in the face of women's leadership in the first place. It makes the assumption that a woman could not possibly lead this work. Of course, the ones who make the accusations could not possibly lead this work, you know. And but you've experienced her and the role and that she has played. She is an exemplary comrade and someone that I know that women, certainly African women who are conscious and aware of her in our movement, really see as a role model. And I wanted to mention that. I wanted to mention also this young woman sitting here, whose significance may be understated by the fact that she's sitting there making the stuff come up on the screen and what have you. But she has come to be. I knew her as sort of as a child, and her father has been associated with this movement forever. Her father's a barber. He's my barber. Though there may be some questions as to what I need one for. And she has surpassed her father in terms of where she is prepared to go for this revolution. You have no idea, you can't possibly have an idea of just the complexity of the job of agitprop. It is extraordinary. It's radio station, it's newspapers, it's all the political education of our movement. It's responsible for all of the development and distribution of the ideas of the party, inside the movement, throughout the world, in fact. And it's always been problematic. We've had all kinds of struggles inside of agitprop. I've had to, at different times, go and take responsibility for the agitprop myself, but I don't assume I'll ever have to assume responsibility for agitprop again, not since this young woman has taken this role on. She has truly brought organization, discipline, and she's fought for the development of agitprop. And I I was just wanting to acknowledge her. I think it's extremely important. And I want to acknowledge all of the, I want to acknowledge my office, by the way, because, I mean, it keeps me rolling. And Comrade Akile, who couldn't be here. No, Akile. You're Akile. Ilikia. All these damn Italian names. Ilikia, who couldn't be here, right? And we're sending a shout out to her because she's a young woman, but she's sickle cell anemia. She lived with it for most of her life, and other kinds of related contradictions, health issues and stuff like that, transplants and that she's had to deal with, and then the medications to prevent body rejecting the organ that she's just had a hip replacement that they didn't want to do because she's so young, because her body changes in the next 10 years or so, and necessary to do it again. And just an incredible look, with all the pain and everything, she's just brought so much to our movement. She has been our choir director and what have you, and she's just been a magnificent presence, and she's in my office. And then, of course, there's a Kenge, who, the chief of staff, and I just wanted to single them out as well, and all of the people who worked in Agitprop and worked in the office of the deputy chair, and then all of you. Comrades, the appointment of Comrade Jesse Neville as the leader of the Uhuru Solidarity movement was absolutely the right determination. And this is an incredible, in many ways, selfless kind of comrade. I appreciate him so much. A young person who's almost 30. A brilliant person, courageous person, I've seen it, and pleasantly not arrogant. You know what I mean? And I've seen his courage, and you need to see it. When I'm talking about courage now, I'm talking about how he'd never run for office either. And here is this team of Comrade Akile and Jesse Neville. And what an incredible team it was, you know, who would be in these debates, and he's talking about this wick and this wick, you know, and in these debates, it was just incredible, you know, courage for him to take it on in that fashion. And you know, we've, you know, sung all of these accolades of Jesse. It's not because he's some kind of yes person or some kind of puppet person. In fact, he's never hesitated to raise the questions that that were significant. There's one question he raised, and I never even got a chance to get back to him. He's challenging a question, something that he found in uneasy equilibrium, I think it was. And I haven't got back to him because I forget what the question is, and then when I discover it, I say, I don't think I agree with Jesse or something to that effect. But that's not the point. The point is that he never hesitates to defend the party, defend the movement. And if the party is attacked, he doesn't say, what's the truth about this, or give me all the details and stuff. He defends the party. Yeah. He will ask the question, but he defends the party. He's very courageous and very principled. He believes in democratic centralism, and it's not just something we talk about. We were in a meeting on one occasion. This is a little different from the defending party. It has to do with courage, in my estimation. Because Jesse grew up in a Jewish family, and I'm not quite sure what that means, in the sense that, as I understand, to grow up in a Jewish family doesn't mean that, you know, people, you know, practice Judaism in a certain way. But he grew up in a Jewish family, which means that he knows all the rules and all the stories about the stolen land of Palestine and what have you passed down to everybody. And we're in a meeting around this campaign. I said, Jesse, you won't have to be a Jew. As hard as his parents worked at it unsuccessfully, right? And because you're going to have to say that as a Jewish person, you know, I know about reparations, and if reparations is good for Jews, why isn't it good for Africans? Is it because they are Africans? You have to put that out publicly. You have to take it away from them. And he was able to do that. Yeah. And I just thought that was, you know, quite courageous and correct, by the way, to do that. So I just don't want to belabor that anymore, but I just unite with this. And it's a statement, though, about the kind of organization that we are. And Jesse has united with the kind of organization that we are. It is an organization based on democratic centralism. It is an organization based on a particular philosophy. And that you unite with it or you don't unite with it. And Jesse has united with it. And so I wanted to say that. And I also wanted to help everybody to understand that we are one revolutionary movement. And the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, like the African People's Solidarity Committee, these are constituent organizations of the African People's Socialist Party. And I think it's really important. You are the party in the area of work that you take on. There was this instance where we had a struggle with an organization that called itself Prairie Fire Organizing Committee, very arrogant group of white leftists, I guess. And the term Prairie Fire, you know where that comes from, right? It's Mao Zedong, right, who made the statement that a single spark can cause a prairie fire. And so I guess they were the consequence of the spark. They were the prairie fire. And that was their West Coast characterization. On the East Coast, they call themselves May 19. You know what May 19 is, right? What is May 19? And who else? And Ho Chi Minh. And Ho Chi Minh, both born on May 19. So these are some really forces who really had some profound understanding about who the hell they were. So we got, we had these particular struggles with May 19 to the point that they claimed to be working under black leadership. And by what they meant was once the revolution was defeated in the 1960s, they adopted Africans who were in prison. Yeah. Some of them never been in revolutionary movements before. They adopted Africans who were in prison, and then they gave them the political line. And then they claimed that what they were doing was following black leadership because the comrades in prison, who they would visit, right? And because they also believed in that the problem was white and male supremacy. That was how they defined the contradiction. So white and male. So after a period of time, it was mostly North American women who led this organization. There's more to it than that, but so they would establish these physical also and monetary relationship with these Africans in prison, and which got to be a very dangerous kind of situation. And there was a point somewhere in there. So they Prayer Fire Organizing Committee. We're doing incredible work in Oakland. We were the movement. The Oakland years defined what the struggle was in this country. And they wanted to come into Oakland to organize African people. Now they're following the black leadership. They're in contest with us because we're just defining the contradiction as colonialism, and they're calling it white and male supremacy. If you struggle against colonialism, you unite with the colonized. if you're struggling against white and male supremacy, you unite with prayer fire. And that was a fundamental contradiction that we were dealing with. And so here we are in Oakland, California, engaged in serious struggle, and they're going to come into Oakland and to organize African people. And we told them we didn't think that was a good idea. And they came anyway, and the people, you know, people pushed them out. And so as a consequence of that, we end up with some struggle with some Africans. 2 times this has happened. One time we ended up with, this was one struggle, we ended up with Africans. And the Africans would approach us who were supposed to be in the anti-colonial movement themselves. And they said, well, these are our solidarity people. And, you know, you got solidarity people, which was a lie. And that's, yeah. I said, but we take responsibility. Anything that APSC does, we take responsibility. This is an extension of our party, our organization in that space. Do you do the same thing? Do you take responsibility for what Prayer Fire does? Of course, they couldn't. Nope. And they backed off of that because they couldn't do it. And all of that long-winded exercise was just to say something about the significance we see in the solidarity movement, and that it is an expression of the party that goes into these spaces. It is a part of our strategy. It's an organizational extension of the African People's Socialist Party. So that's part of how we see this significance. And I want to say that we have a lot of work to do. Comrade Penny just mentioned, I think it was, how we have to go into Europe. There's no way we cannot go into Europe. We have to go into Europe, where there hasn't been the opportunity to build the same kind of movement that we can build here, for a number of reasons. For the longest period of time, the internal colony in Europe was tiny and could not express itself as much as the domestic colony here. The African population of Mexicans were a domestic colony on our own turf, more or less. But you had just handful of the colonized and certainly Africans in Europe. And so it was only recently that the domestic colony has become to play such an important role that's problematic for Europe, but they haven't had the kind of experience dealing with the colonizer as we have on that kind of domestic turf. We have to go in there. Europe is so expensive too, and we have to be able to get resources in Europe. We have to be able to get resources in South Africa. I was last in South Africa in March or May. Was it May? May. And on a tour there, this incredible young comrades who put forth the politic, who organize in the townships. These are not comrades who are in these major urban centers where you can, read about and see them. They're in the townships where most of the African working class are living. And they are organizing African Internationalist, African People's Socialist Party movement. And on our trip there, we've actually gone to a place where the Africa Must Unite tour, and where I think this was in Everton West. Perhaps this was in Everton West. And the place that we were having the event, there was no electricity. So they end up trying to run an electric cord, maybe several hundred feet to somebody's house, so that longer than that, so that we could actually have electricity. We might have lights and hook up computers and things like that. We have a lot of work to do in terms of raising resources, because those comrades need to at least have as much access to the world and to each other there as neo-colonial forces like the ANC, like all of these other forces who are propped up and pumped up and put out there. As the bourgeoisie is supporting those forces, they need to have the kind of support that's necessary from this part of our movement. That's one of the reasons we exist, to be able to give that kind of support. Speaking of which, I just want to reiterate that the Marcus Garvey Cruise is going to Cuba, And we plan to be in Cuba in December. So I would suggest that you do something now to make a payment on your space on this cruise ship, because we want to take as many people as possible on this cruise. I'm saying we're going to Cuba, and we're supposed to go to Nassau. But you never know how the U.S. government is going to move around any of these questions, do you? You know, especially around Cuba, et cetera. But I'm planning to go, and I'm hoping that you will make that trip, because it's a fundraiser for the African Socialist International, for the work that Comrade Louise is doing in Europe, and for the work that comrades Tafari and Assa are doing in South Africa, and the work that's unfolding in other places on the continent of Africa. And I want to also say that we just came out of a Black is Back coalition electoral school that was held in St. Petersburg, Florida. It was an important school. It was part of the existence of the coalition, stems from the work that our party has been doing for a long time. And we recognize, and you must recognize this too, because this is extremely important, because we run into this contradiction like in our institutions, where an African will come into the institution, and because there's an African can take advantage, you know, of our forces, you know, in sometimes unfair ways. I remember in the flea market where we were established, I mean, Eldridge Cleaver would come and steal a typewriter or something like that, come and take a typewriter, or take a book. I want to see what Ishitella is saying. And so Africans have often taken advantage of us, and because our forces are united with the struggle for African liberation, this is an African stealing the typewriter, this is an African doing those things, has been problematic. But here's what must be understood, and this is significant even around the Black is Back coalition work, that Africans, the whole African nation, whether it's here in Haiti, or on the continent of Africa, in Europe, lives under colonial domination. Direct or indirectly, colonial domination is how we live. The whole African nation, therefore, exists national oppression. But liberation doesn't mean the same thing to all of the forces who are oppressed. For example, the advent of colonialism in our lives, that destroyed much of the independent economy of African people, locked a certain sector of the African population into this new economy, this other economy, this hostile economy, this economy that was parasitic and sucking the resources out of Africa, denying Africa a future. Some Africans make a living in that economy, and and they have now become a sector. They have introduced another kind of class contradiction into the African world. And there are sectors of the African population who represent the petty bourgeoisie. We've referred to them as the primitive petty bourgeoisie. And as a consequence of that, their loyalty, even though they can be opposed and often are opposed to white domination, is not in the interest of overturning the social system itself. It's about needing to replace the white man. It's about with themselves, with their own class, and to speak to their own class. And so when they say independence, they don't mean the same thing as the working class when we say independence. And you're going to see that over and over again. When you see stuff coming from civil rights people, it's not because they're horrible people. They just mean something else. And they are telling the truth when they say this represents freedom. It is freedom for a certain class, for a certain sector, because they can't go all the way. The only ones can go all the way is the African working class when it has access to its own leadership, which is the advanced detachment, the Revolutionary Party of the African working class. That's the African People's Socialist Party. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So you will see that this contradiction is there. And so because the African working class recognizes that we have to have access to the entire nation in opposition to colonialism, we can be, and the coalition is important to us, even if it is comprised of sectors of the African petty bourgeoisie. You with me? You know, and this is an analogy we've used in the past, that for a rocket, you know, like, what was that last place was it they sent to, was it Jupiter? That's supposed to be on the end of the universe? Jupiter. And so, you know, they send a rocket to go there, or to go to the moon, or to go any other place. They have a rocket, that's the main rocket. But they hook up boosters, they call them booster rockets, to break out of the atmosphere. When they break out of the atmosphere, the boosters fall off, and then the rocket goes to its destination. But it needed the boosters. Do you understand what I'm saying? So for the struggle for national liberation, for the African working class to achieve victory over imperialism, we mobilize everybody who's hostile to colonialism within the nation. And all of them will not be from the working class. Some of them will function, they play the same role for the working class to get this rocket out of the atmosphere, right? Just like a booster. Our task is to get to Jupiter. Their task is to get someplace that they assume to be beneficial to themselves as a social force. You with me on that? It's really important to understand that, so sometimes you need to know what you're looking at when you see it, right? And when you saw the monks setting themselves on fire in Vietnam and protesting them, they weren't the revolutionaries, they weren't the working class, anything like that, but they were significant as representing a kind of national, a revolutionary democratic program, that would facilitate the ability for the workers and peasants to come to power. Anyway, so this coalition is important work for us, and it's going to be even more important, and we've able to contribute to the process of bringing the working class into greater significance. This whole thing about the electoral schools that will allow anybody from this community, other communities, to come and learn how to run for office, and then to learn how to run for office on a revolutionary national democratic program. Okay? That's an assault against colonialism. I don't care what anybody else understands, but we in the party know that's an assault against colonialism. We have to defeat colonialism, and the working class cannot become free unless colonialism is destroyed, right? Okay, so, and then there's the African Liberation Day that we're going to be participating in May. And hopefully we'll be having forces somebody who will come from the continent and perhaps other places, but that's really important for us. I'm mentioning all these things because they represent things that we'll have to also win resources to accomplish. And that falls within the realm of this, this conference and the work that you do. I was late getting here. Comrade Jesse had to come out and snatch me up because I was in a discussion on the phone. Within the last week or two, a comrade who works with the coalition, who was once in the African People's Socialist Party, got involved. He heads the Black Community Control of Police Working Group of the Black is Back Coalition. And we have these horrible institutions, these cell phone shops throughout the African community. There are always contradictions. There are always, in every city that we go, there are problems, fights there. And in one instance, recently, an African who worked for one of these shops was fired, and he came back, obviously, apparently struggling with the owner over back pay. And it ends up that the security guard shoots and kills this guy. And so Comrade Diop Olukbala, who is the head of the working group of the Black Community Control of Police, began to initiate protest demonstrations outside of the shop. And we had disagreements, I did, with how that was going, how the protests were happening and what have you. But nevertheless, the guy had killed this African. The family of the African was trying to have protests and demonstrations, and Diop had experience in trying to organize this kind of stuff. And as it developed, the security guard, an African, became extraordinarily hostile, and particularly at Diop. And at one juncture, I understand that he had actually shoved and perhaps even hit Diop in the face. And so recently, just maybe a week or so ago, Diop was doing a protest and he took a weapon to the demonstration. And the guy saw the weapon and called the police. And so Diop now is locked up on $100,000 bail in Philadelphia. And there, I mean, this is one of the contradictions that we have to deal with. The guy was an extraordinarily obnoxious guy, the security guard, and he was threatening them and threatened the members of the family who were engaged in the protests. And but we like to function as an organization. It's not we're not engaged in some personal thing with some security guard, et cetera. We're not in it for the fight. That's what people don't quite get. We're not in it for the fight. We're in it for the victory. You understand? If we can get Trump to come out with his hands on his head and assume the position, and what have you, or surrender, that would be cool. The thing is that sometimes people forget, and sometimes you can't be victorious because you're too willing to fight. And one of the first laws of war, rules of war, is to destroy the will of your opponent to fight. That's what you want to do if you can. But anyway, Diop is there. And I'm going to be looking at how we can take this on, this case, what we can do to contribute to freeing this comrade. I don't know enough of the details yet, except that we don't have a lawyer. The public defender, by the way, has gone to see Diop, and I was encouraged by the fact that he told Diop that he feels like there may be a case for illegal search, because even though the cop took the gun off Diop, the search may have been illegal, right? So that was encouraging. The reason it's encouraging is because usually public defenders, they come to see you, they tell you that they can get you off with 4 years if you cop to this plea or that plea, or I can get you on probation for 6 years and community service, but they come in and talk like he wants to fight. And so that was encouraging. So we'll see where that goes. I just want you to know about this case. That's all, because I don't know where it's going and absolutely what it is that's going to have to be done. I don't like the idea of Diop being in that dungeon. He violated, I think, some serious principles in terms of how that entire struggle went down. But I don't think his violations touches anything like the violation of the life that the store did and the attack on him and the people that was done by the security guard. So the Black is Back Coalition that I chair, I'm going to see what we can mobilize through that coalition to take this case on. Comrades, this has been an historic convention. This is an historic organization, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. We see in such a short order the emergence of these magnificent leaders. I shouldn't say much more than that, but how much we appreciate you and the fact that we are changing the course of history. And if we can take ourselves seriously, as forces of history, then the future surely belongs to us. We will determine what the future looks like. We are determining what the future looks like. That's why the Democratic Party is talking about reparations and socialism and the rest of it. We are making that determination. Uhuru.
Wow, what a wonderful convention. So To close this off, I just want to thank Director Akile and the entire Agitprop team for doing all the work to put this convention on. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I want to thank Deputy Chair Ona Zenaya Shatella, the African People's Education and Defense Fund, and this Uhuru House, and everyone who helps to maintain this, and providing us the space to have our convention. So thank you so much. And of course, I would like to thank Chairman Omalia Shatella for everything that you brought to this convention and everything that you bring to this movement. Long live the Uhuru movement! Unity through Uhuru! One more now. Uhuru comrades, I just want to let you all know we need to clean up our space, right? We need to clean up the chairs, make sure this venue looks as beautiful as when we walked in. So please take care of your mess and organize everything. And Hallie will be coordinating this, so please talk to her on what jobs you can do. She'll be the point person. Uhuru. Thank you.